Yes, Charvi, you may begin. Charvi, you're not audible. You're on. You need to admit.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, data analytics is the future, and the future is now. Every mouse click, keyboard button press, swipe, or tap is used to shape the business decisions. Everything is about data these days. Data is information, and information is power. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It is with immense pleasure that I, Charvi Jain, on behalf of P.G.D.A.V College, extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this online workshop on usage of corporate and economic databases for business decisions and research, hosted in collaboration with the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy CMIE. CMIE is a pioneering institution renowned for its insightful data analytics and research and comprehensive information on the Indian corporate sector. I feel delighted to welcome you all to this workshop on navigating the world of corporate and economic databases. In today's rapidly evolving global landscape, access to comprehensive economic data is essential for informed decision making. Whether you are an economist, researcher, student, or simply someone interested in understanding the economic forces that shape our world. We have with us our revered principal, Professor Krishna Sharma ma'am. I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt appreciation for her dedication and leadership at our college. Her unwavering commitment to the betterment of our college has made a significant impact on all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your guidance and support throughout. I would also like to thank and express my heartfelt gratitude to our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Rakesh Kumar sir, for motivating us to have such workshops. Also, by the end of this workshop, you will be better equipped to harness the power of economic databases, enabling you to make informed decisions, conduct research, or simply satisfy your curiosity about the complex economic world where we live in. So, without further ado, let's mark on this journey into the realm of economic data. I encourage you to actively participate, ask questions, and take notes as this workshop is designed to empower you with the practical skills and knowledge. So, let's get started on this exciting exploration on economic databases. In the very first, I would like to introduce you all to our very first resource person for today's workshop. We have with us Professor Surendra Kumar Sir. Sir is a senior most faculty in the Department of Commerce in P.G.D.A.V College. Sir has done his graduation, post-graduation, and research from University of Delhi. He has academic and professional background in the areas of finance, international business, electronic data interchange, e-commerce, and entrepreneurship development. He has also been a visiting faculty to many of the esteemed institutions like Department of Financial Studies, University of Delhi, Center for Professional Development in Higher Education, University of Delhi, GIMS, IGNO, and many more. His list of accomplishments is never ending. Sir, I extend you a very warm welcome and request you to please take the session further. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Charvi. Thank you for the nice words that you mentioned about me. I am not here to correct the setting. I am not here as a resource person. I am supposed to perform a very limited role at this moment. And we have other resource persons for this. My idea of intervening at this stage is because I was involved in interacting with the participants of this workshop. So I just want to thank them for joining on time. The participants who have specifically come for this workshop, and our faculty members from our institute, as well as some of the past attendees. I also want to thank my principal, whose immense effort has brought a kind of research environment in our college, and I think we want to go miles ahead in this direction. I also want to thank the research committee convener as well as IQAC convener, Professor Rakesh Kumar, for being present and gracing the occasion. I would like to extend my thanks to the speakers of today, Mr. Sudarshan Negi, who will be speaking on the corporate database, which is Prowess IQ, and Ms. Pratima Dua, who will be speaking on economic outlook, which is again a database on various economic dimensions of economy. Now, I wanted to intervene because the current audience for this workshop is a very diversified audience. There are also students who are undergoing undergraduation. And there are students who are doing their post-graduation. And there are also participants who actually form a research community across the country. And there are participants from our own faculty, many of whom are engaged in active research in their own domain. I also want to welcome my organizing team in this workshop, and I want to name them. We have Dr. Indraneel, who is from Economics Department, Dr. Deepika Kandpal, who is also from Economics Department, and we have requested her to help us in exercising whatever admin role we have to perform for economic outlook. I also thank Shikha Menani, who has been doing it for last 2 years for this Prowess IQ. We have been subscribing to Prowess IQ, like one such institution in Delhi University, which has been subscribing it regularly, this Prowess IQ. And now over the years, many have become users within our college, and many of us request us to provide access to this software. And we are thankful to Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, because they say at your own institution, in your labs, you have right to provide access to the researchers who may be interested, and they can come to your institution and they can participate, they can use this software for their data. I think this is a tradition we follow across country for in general for accessing resources of the library. So it is treated more like a resource of the library. Now, the limited purpose for which I am intervening here is just to highlight, let's say, looking at the data needs from a student who is undergoing graduation. Like if I share my screen to show, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it's visible.
See, on this screen, in this new, or rather I should say, national education policy, we have started, providing education to the students of a subject which is very unique, which is a subject with the name data visualization and business intelligence. Now, Microsoft provides this tool, and I'm sure many other brands in the market might be providing. But this Microsoft tool, which we call it as Power BI, is supposed to be available to the students, and Microsoft as of now making it available as a free software, so anybody can download and use it. Now this tool is so powerful that if you start using it, you'll find, well, Excel, which itself is so powerful a tool for analysis, will become very primitive in the eyes of the users. So like one of the screen which I'm sharing here, now in this screen, what I've done is I have taken out data from the corporate database which Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy provides. Now, what is the data that I've taken in this? This is the data of showing relationship in some of the variables of BSC 500 companies, top BSC 500 companies. I have filtered out some of the companies which are financial companies, or so I am only showing the relationship of certain variables only with reference to non-financial companies. Like one of the graph, which is little bigger, is a graph showing relationship between leverage and profit as to whether profit goes up and down. So this is the data for about 20 years that I have taken from Prowess, and I can see this relationship. Now this is a relationship with reference to one particular company, but in this Power BI software, I have actually downloaded all the data of 400 plus companies, and I can select these companies one by one in my software. Just a second. Just give me a second. Yes. And so right now it is showing the relationship of profit. This bigger graph. There are three graphs which are visible. There is a graph on top. There are two graphs on top. One is on the left of your screen and another is on the right of screen. So the graph which is on the right of screen, it is showing relationship between tangible assets and profit. And there is a graph on the left of screen which is showing relationship between leverage and the life stage of the company. And the graph at the bottom is showing. So all these graphs are showing me with reference to ACC. But I can see relationship of all my 400 companies. If I unselect, it is showing me the average relationship of all the companies. But if I select a particular company, so each of the company, one at a time, I can look at the data. So some of the students who are at the undergraduate level, sometimes they are, studying at a very micro level. And therefore, when they are studying at a very micro level, so they look at, a single company data. When experts from CMIE will speak on Prowess IQ, they will show, how you can access data of a single company, what kind of data you can access. And if you want to access data for a set of companies, how do you go about it? So it is in this sense, I am highlighting this dimension, which could be relevant. What has been happening in the last 2 to 3 centuries, you go back 3 centuries, you'll find most of the researches were more based on personal experiences. 90 more than 90% of the researches were hardly having secondary data. Most of the researches were based on the experiences which are compiled through primary survey or which are the experiences of the researchers themselves. But gradually, secondary data has become very important, and therefore, all these tools which we use at a very micro level or at an industry level or a set of industry level, we find secondary data is becoming very, very important. And therefore, if our students are exposed to how to get secondary data, it becomes a very important learning for the students. Likewise, let's say somebody who may be a researcher and might be looking at the data more in analytical terms, and therefore would not only be trying to understand the relationship in a more I would say uh, regressive manner, and would also be applying various statistical tools to understand the relationship and go ahead not only understanding the relationship, also seeing its robustness, going ahead with estimation, also going ahead with projection and prediction. Now, the other part which I am showing, I hope my screen is still visible. And I have just opened, yes?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. I have just opened a statistically very, very powerful tool which can use panel data analysis. So I have just picked up some data which I was using because I am still doing my doctoral, which I am using for my doctoral purposes. So I have just picked up the data, and you can see on the left, on the right of the screen, there are various variables that I picked up here. And I have pooled together a set of commands which I want to execute on this data. My all these commands may not be very refined, but it will give you a kind of a sampler of what is possible if you have data accessible to you. Not only data which comes from corporate databases, but also the data which comes from, let's say, economic parameters of the economy. So I'm just executing a set of commands, and I hope it executes. Yes. And there's also a file which also having a graph. I'll just show that as well. I don't know, maybe I have disabled that. Okay, still the graph is not there, but then let me briefly mention on this, because I don't think that I can go ahead talking about the research part of it. I am just showing, look at the relationship which I'm getting in this. I have used, how the corporate leverage is determined by important factors. So some of the important factors that I have taken in this analysis here are.
Sorry to disturb you, sir. Sir, you are showing the first page of the leverage only, or are you changing the pages or the screen?
I am changing the screen.
I think screen is freeze. Maybe this particular, slides.
Yes, sir. Sir, if you could just stop sharing and share it again, maybe the problem is sorted.
Just. Is it changing now? Are you seeing some different on the screen?
Sir, as of now, it's the same.
It's not the graphs of Power BI that you're seeing?
I think, sir, if you can stop sharing your screen and then
again
share the complete, the screen as a whole, I think that would be possible.
Just a second, let me try.
There's some other screen now, sir.
Okay, there's some other screen. So let me just briefly mention it again. See, I've used a file of Excel which I converted into stata file. So that's the file which I've accessed. Let me just do it again. So I've just cleared that file and I'm opening it again. Yes, I've just opened that file again. And now on the right side of the screen, all the variables that I'm using are available. I'm using a data set of about 406 companies over a 23-year period. So there is roughly 8,000 plus records which are available to me, which I've just opened. And I have pulled a set of data commands which will be executed on this. And I have put them into a file which according to Stata software is called as a do file. So this do file can contain a set of commands which can be executed together. So I am executing the do file. Is now visible? Is it now visible? Whatever I am doing on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see. Yes. So you can see there is also a graph which comes out nicely. Now this graph is briefly explaining, which you can see on the screen, that there are different stages of corporate life. Now on these different stages of corporate life, we find the leverage levels are different. I have converted these stages. There are 8 different ways that I could show the corporate life stages in my data. But somehow, some of the data is very limited for a particular stage. For example, look at the data. Let me show that again. Right. These are the 8 stages, but somehow for stage 4, there are very limited number of records. So I have merged that particular stage in my result. So after merging, I'm getting a graph on that. So it is showing me, number one, as to how leverage is different at different stages of corporate life. And it is also showing me something further, which is of how, profit level, or for that matter, because I've done it on different variables, profit level, or let's say level of tangible assets, how at the margin in a particular stage, that particular variable is effective. And we find, if you look at the last table of my analysis, you find, these are all coming out to be significant. When I'm looking at at the margin level, I am looking at the variable in the last one. One is different stages, and then I have included the margin in the last one for, let's see. That's how it happens when you experiment too much. You don't know what is the last one for you. But there is a variable, either tangible asset or profit, because these are the 2 variables that I'm trying to analyze as to at the margin level, how these 2 variables are coming out, whether these are coming out to be significant or not. So not going so much into my research, my idea is the opportunity is opportunities is immense if you can take hold of the data. So the session is more focused on, how to get data, how to access data, how to get access to data as precisely as you want, because you define your problem, and then you define your data, and then you go ahead with other things of estimating and then prediction or forecasting, you may say. I think with these few words, let me stop here, and I hand it over back to Charvi. Thank you. I'm stopping sharing. I don't know whether Chav is there, but let's say, okay, let me request Mr. Sudarshan Negi to now begin with the first part of the presentation, which relates to corporate data, which you have productified in the form of Prowess IQ. Thank you. Over to Mr. Sudarshan.
First of all, I'll thank P.G.D.A.V management, Dr. Surendra, and all the faculty members and participants who have joined for this meaningful session. And let me share first my screen, and we'll take.
I'm audible to you now.
Charvi, yes, you are audible.
Yes, you're audible now.
I'm very sorry, sir. The Zoom hanged, and I think it's
not a problem. Not a problem.
camera.
I have requested Mr. Negi to speak.
Yeah.
So shall I begin with his introduction first, or?
Yeah, please do that. Please do that.
Yeah. So, am I visible to you? I don't know why is the camera not working. So I'll do it like this only. I'm sorry.
Okay, so no problem. You go audio mode.
Yeah, sir. I feel very privileged to welcome and introduce the next resource person for today's workshop, Sudarshan Negi, sir. He's a senior business relationship manager at Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMIE, for the educational and research segment. He has expertise in CMIE's financial databases on economic and businesses. Sir has worked across segments like corporates, banking and financial institutions, and educational institutions like IIMs, IITs, NITs, and other educational and research institutions. He is actively involved with educational and research institutions for demonstrating, imparting training, and resolving queries of researchers and faculty members on CMIE's database. Sir, I extend you a very warm welcome and request you to please begin with the session.
Thank you, Chavi, for such a lovely
Thank you.
introduction. And thank you to the complete P.G.D.A.V team, management, and faculty members, and all the participants who have given their valuable time for understanding CMI databases. So, although Dr. Surendra have discussed all the way analytics and the data works and how it is bringing the solution to the education and research institution, I'll just focus on how primarily, what kind of data which is available on the corporate sector and how CMI can bring in a ease in downloading those data, and those data point can, help in doing informed decision, the kind of research or the project which you are doing in your classroom or for any research project, I'll say. Let me first share that screen. And I hope it is visible. Chavi, can you just confirm, is my screen visible to you?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. CMI, we before going through the Prowess platform, so CMI, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. So we have been serving educational institutions from last 4 decades, providing all those valuable resources on economy and businesses. Whereas the Prowess by which this service has been serving from last 30 years, the service was started in 1989. This is one of the largest platform which provide data on 54,000 companies. Recently it has crossed 54,000 companies. So before going through the actual platform, let me give you an understanding that what exactly the content which is available at the company's database level under Prowess, and why it is more powerful than when you're doing a research work on the Indian corporate sector. So it's a largest queryable database where you can put your conditions that you want to find, let's say, top 10 companies in an industry or the listed companies with a market cap or profit. That kind of query which we can execute according to our data requirement under the Prowess database. So it become very powerful when you articulate it according to your area of interest and the kind of data which you require. Now coming on toward that, what kind of data you may require. There may be a qualitative data, quantitative data, whereas Prowess is focusing on the time series data, the financial data on the performance of the companies. So it is very important when you are using the data either for research work or classroom project, or even understanding the picture how these companies are performing. It's very important that whether that data is standardized or not. So if if you see if there is a data is standardized, the number will be much meaningful and reliable. As you have seen a couple of graphs which Dr. Surendra had presented. So the correlation and the kind of graph, whether they are making a sense out of it or not, depends too much on the kind of data which you are using and how standardized that data is. It is, so normally the data on the performance of the companies come from the annual financial statement. So that data, there is a lot of heterogeneity in the disclosure of annual report. So our team of chartered accountant, they standardize the data and make the data more comparable and meaningful when you use it for your research work. and accordingly, the data become more sensible when you are doing such kind of analysis. The finely honed ratios are the sharpest ratio after that standardization has been done. So it may happen a couple of times that when you are using the actual annual report numbers, the computation may change, as the Prowess database numbers may look slightly different than the actual annual report numbers. Although the data is almost same, because it is sourcing the data from the the annual report, but the way of computation and standardizing may vary, as compared to the normal thing which you may find in the annual report. Now, powerful tools which are available under the Prowess database are making this platform more, I'll say, research oriented, because it helps in everything is in the way of customization. With a blink of eye, you select a couple of tools and you get the time series data for hundreds of companies with the different ways of downloading those data points. The data is available in the panel format. The data can be easily downloaded in the Excel format, and you can draw graphs. You can see the kind of disclosure which the company is been making. So it is again, second thing comes into play, whether that data is mandatory to be disclosed by the companies, or you are looking for a research work where the data is not a mandatory disclosure. So that data will be available or not, that is one of the concern. And we know that for the listed companies, mostly every company has to disclose all their material facts. So you get most of the data points, for the listed companies, whereas there is a very different kind of disclosure from the unlisted companies' data. Now let's focus on what is the coverage area under the Prowess and how you can access it. First of all, recently this number, the 52,000 companies have crossed 54,000 companies in our database, and we cover all the listed companies, which has recently crossed 5,200. And some of the listed company may get delisted on the day-to-day, or you may see that couple of companies are being listed on the basis. So overall, if we see the data which is available under the Prowess, it's on the different sector wise, you can select the companies either by ownership, either by listed, unlisted. All those categories are available for selecting a company. Even you can select company individually from the Prowess database. Now, what kind of data is available for those companies? So we get an easy understanding about what kind of company that is, whether it's a manufacturing company, or it's a large size company, small size company. So that kind of information, like company background, industry and ownership classification of that company, the board of directors, the cross directorship, or even relating to, you want to see the ownership of the company, who are the owners. You can see the promoters, their shareholding patterns. Again, the auditors and subsidiaries details. Those are the kind of the information which you'll be getting. There is a related party transaction, like if the company have its subsidiary, or other companies, there is a holding company, how many companies are there subsidiary. You can see the kind of transaction which the company is having with their the related parties. Quarterly financial, we know the quarterly financial is disclosed only by the listed company. They have to mandatorily file their quarterly return, so you get those information. Whereas all the companies are disclosing their annual performance, how they're performing in the financial year, whether it's a December ending or March ending, or September ending. Now, other than that, you may get the data relating to the product of that company. What kind of product the company is dealing in, what kind of raw material they are consuming, so to bring a fresh product to the consumers in the market. We also provide data under Prowess relating to the consumption of their energy, the kind of electricity and power consumption. There is a listed pricing details for all the listed companies, that is the daily share price and their returns. And you can also see the key indicators relating to their valuation. That is the valuation indicator, how those companies are performing, the listed companies. The rating and rating agencies, the rating rationale will be very important for you if you're using the time series data for companies' performance. And there is a couple of rating agencies like CRISIL, ICRA, India Rating, and these rating agencies are giving the rating on different debt instruments. So we provide that debt instrument rating over here under the Prowess database. There is a merger and acquisition, which tells you about what how many merger which took place in different sectors, which companies are involved in it, who's the acquirer, who is the targeted company, what is the swap ratio between them. So that kind of details relating to the merger is again available. Investment project, that is the capex project, which is the proprietary to CMIE. So we track that data from the investment project manager, which is the investment which is going across different sectors by different companies, what kind of capacity which they are creating. Like if I track one particular company like Maruti Suzuki, they might have a couple of plants which are getting established in different location. There might be increase in the capacity or new project which is increasing their capacity to make the electric vehicle or any vehicle. So that kind of investment project will give in clarity that how we expect that the company is going to progress in the upcoming years. Okay, that can be one of the way to look at their upcoming progress. Second thing is the news link announcement from the exchange SEBI. These are the area which you can keep in track that what kind of news the company is involved in, and that is the market intelligence which get into play. This is the content which will be available per company. Now, how you can access that content? As Prowess is an application-based service, and with the support website, so the application give you a power of running a query according to your condition. So there are 80 query trigger under the Prowess application, and those trigger help you in generating the data, whether you require annual or quarterly. On different triggers, you get the different kind of data. Now, what are these triggers? Okay, now 80 query trigger, if I pick just one trigger, so you just understand that annual financial statement, if I just address those undergraduate, postgraduate student as well, because if they are not having that understanding, what is the annual financial statement? Some of them might be aware of the kind of indicators which are available from the annual financial, like say, income of the company, expenses of the company's profit, debt equity ratio or financial ratio, leverage ratio, which has been mentioned earlier. So that kind of information is available under the triggered annual financial statement. Now, if you select that trigger from the application, you can run and extract the data and see that how that company has been performing. Although in the similar fashion, you can see the credit rating from the agencies, like the data which was I was mentioning the disclosure. You can see the stock prices, dividend declaration, change in capital like IPO information. You can see the BSE and NSE indices, the companies which are part of that index and how much they contribute to that particular index. That is also you can track through the index constituents. Again, the different trigger will give you different set of data available under the by execution of those queries. Okay, so this is the query trigger by which the execution you'll be getting the data under the application. That I'll be showing how briefly you can do it from the application. Second thing under the application is a very simplest. And for the beginner, I'll suggest them to first look into the kind of information which generally a company disclosure, to evaluate the performance. So there is a 821 tabulation per company. And these 821 tabulation are simply available under the report viewer section. So under Prowess application, if you just select individual company, you can view their tabulation under the report viewer section. And those tabulation will just simply show you the profile of the company, the identity background, their ownership, in which, which group is, owning that particular company. In the similar fashion, you can see those reports in the form of table for the financial ratios, their income ratio, income and expenditures, asset and liabilities. And for the banking, we have a separate kind of reports which is available. You can see the NPAs and other details, and banking and NBFC reports are available. So there are 821 reports, and by which you can get a clarity for, especially for the undergraduate and postgraduate students, they can get in clarity the kind of disclosure which the company is making. Now, this is what is available under Prowess. Now, let me take you first of all through the Prowess website from where the application is to be downloaded. And for those who have not registered, I'll simply tell the process how you can get your login credential for accessing this service. I hope till now it is clear whatever I have explained, the coverage area and the content which is available. If there is any query, you can just put your query, query in the chat box. I'll be addressing all of them, before ending the Prowess session. So Prowess website, I'll just send this link in the chat box to make it, available to everyone over here. So it can be easy. This is the Prowess website, which will, which I have shared the link in the chat box. This link, gives access to the support website where a user will be registering for getting his login credential for accessing the service. So you can always click on this register option if you have not used Prowess in the past. If you are already using, you have your login credential, no need to register it again. Prowess and Economic Outlook will be accessible by the same login credential. There is no need to register again for accessing the different services from the different login credentials. So those who have joined first time the Prowess session, not aware of it at all, you can use this registration option over here, the tab, and open it. It will give you an option for filling your details, like writing your email ID, confirming it, and selecting the Mr. and Mrs. over here, first name, last name, and a word verification to just simply, and before submitting it, do check that the username which you can write, like if you are Ajay, Anita, and Simran, or say Mukesh, you can simply write your name like that, Mukesh _ P.G.D.A.V. That is the way you can create your username. Username will be a unique ID which will get created and through which you will be logging and using your password. So make it sure that there should not be any space. You can write your complete name, Mukesh Singh or Mukesh _ P.G.D.A.V, and you can just submit it. After filling this complete form, once you submit this, I'll tell you, you will receive your login credential by p.intimation@cmi.com. So this is a user guide I have opened simultaneously in a new tab, giving you a clarity that Prowess website will take you to this screenshot, the link which I was showing you, and then you will receive your login credential by p.intimation. Okay, so this is the registration process. The second process comes into, I hope the registration is clear to all of you. Now, after registration, once you receive those login credentials, you can log into this website by username, which you have, Mukesh _ P.G.D.A.V. You can use it that and mention your password over here and get access to that, website. There is a download option over here under this support website. If you click on this download, a small 12 MB file will be downloaded. That is an exe file, because Prowess application, is accessible only into the Windows system. So those who have a query relating to whether you can access it in a MacBook or not, so under MacBook, or you can access the website. If you want to access under the MacBook, the Prowess application, so for that you need to make your system dual boot. That is simply through your colleague who is a tech savvy. You can check that how you can install a Windows operating system into your MacBook. If you do so, you'll be able to access the Prowess application in your MacBook. And you can see a couple of YouTube videos, which can help you in downloading the Windows, operating system into the MacBook, in case if you have do not option, having an option of Windows laptop. That is the second case. Now, once you download this small exe file, you need to open that file from the download section and start installing that application. And there is no need to change any other option while installing. Just do next. No need to change any option. Next. And during installation, it will tell you about username and the company name. During username and the company name is not the login credential which it is asking during the installation. So it is simply the you can write P.G.D.A.V. in case of username, and in case of company name also P.G.D.A.V. It's not that only P.G.D.A.V. you can write anything, XYZ, ABC, anything. But for your understanding, It's just for the installation. It is asking you the company name as a username. Once that application is installed by doing next, you will get a desktop icon, Prowess IQ. If you open and log into it, you will find this particular interface on your screen. So this is the application which will open once you install and log into this portal by the login credential which you have received by P.Intimation. I'll just take a pause over here. In case, is it clear relating to the registration and the installation of Prowess application? If there is any query, you can just unmute yourself, or you can just post it in the chat box. Okay. So I hope we can make it more interactive. In case if there is a query from a couple of users, it will be really great to address all of you. Let me just log into first of all this website. I have already logged into the application. Now this website, I'll cover the support section in the last. There is a lot of tutorial videos which will help you in exploring the application. There is a data guide which is very important for you to understand, Prowess Data Dictionary. So this Prowess Data Dictionary, why I'm addressing this in the beginning, because when you use Prowess database, you have a question that how CMIE is standardizing the database. What is the picture behind when you use P.G.D.A.V as an indicator or net sales as an indicator? So all those, there is a description about every indicator, whichever data you download from the Prowess database. And that helps you in writing your methodology and in briefly explaining that what exactly this indicators denotes. So this PDF file from Prowess website, Prowess Data Dictionary and Prowess Data Dictionary Indian Accounting Standard. This is a dictionary which will help you in getting, I'll tell you, there's a table of content. If I just simply search net sales, okay, net sales, it shows me there is one indicator. First of all, if I move to the first indicator, net sales, and I click on table of content, this net sale, it will give me a brief description about how the net sales has been, described under the Prowess database. Okay, the complete definition is there. If you want to check a couple of more indicators which has been more standardized, like P.B.D.I.T.A, PIBITA, and I move that indicator from the beginning and see where the PIBITA indicator has been used. And if I just go it round and round and I type it over here, just seeing that what kind of P.B.D.I.T.A indicator has been used. So this is P.B.D.I.T.A per 1,000 employee. Okay. Now P.B.D.I.T.A per 1,000 employee, if I just move down, I can get number of indicators over here. Even I can go to the table of content and I can just select and check wherever that data is relating to the P.B.D.I.T.A. So through the table of content, through these chapters, I can check P.B.D.I.T.A per 1,000 employee. This is the definition and the brief formula behind it. In the similar fashion, I can search anything from this PDF and see how CMIE has been calculating and standardizing the indicators and their definitions. So this is, which you need to, for the research scholars, it's very important to use this, the database dictionary, which will help you in understanding those indicators. Let's move to the application part, and we'll be doing certainly, some magic over here, how a data can be downloaded by customizing it according to your requirements. Now, first of all, this application may look slightly, I'll point it out. For the beginner, this application may be, very difficult to operate, but believe me, it is the most powerful tool and where you can, get the data according to your requirement. So just understand, focus, note it down, the couple of details which I'll be doing over here. Query builder, output view, report viewer, worksheet, command history, and planner. There are 5 tabs on the top. What does these 5 tabs shows you? So query builder shows you all these triggers which are present on your screen, which I'm operating right now. So Query Builder is giving access to these triggers like select company by name. Okay, under companies and sets, we have these three triggers of selecting company by name, selecting company by predefined sets where the industry category has already been made, and indices like BSE and BSE NSE indices and the listed, the CTRI CMI total return index and the listed companies category has already been made. You do not need to search individually those companies. But if you are working on just 3, 4, 5 companies, you can always select company by name. Now, Query Builder is the only section from where we'll be selecting those options and running our query using these tools which are available in the bottom of your screen or my screen. So how I'm going to do that? So once I execute those query using, selecting these options, then the second option is where you get the data. Either after execution, the data goes to the output view. The second heading on the top, which is currently blank over here, so that the data will appear either in output view or in the fourth heading, the worksheet, these two areas where we can download the data on the company's performance. The third heading is the report viewer and chart plotter, which gives access to all those reports for the selective company. Whichever company you want to view reports, you can view the reports over here by simply selecting companies. And last heading is the command history and planner, which basically record all your command. It is a kind of, a history section where anytime you can see your past command, you can, run that command again. You can alter that command and change a couple of things. And then you can, execute it again for any other set of companies. So we'll be doing it from the beginning and moving it to the...
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Can you tell about the report view? Just what's the report view will show?
So report viewer will show you report viewer and chart plotter. Report viewer and chart plotter will show you the 821 tabulation per company, which I was mentioning in my presentation. So this is the section where, we'll be selecting a couple of companies. And I'll first of all show you that particularly, how we can select companies, and then we can view a couple of reports, how those reports can be viewed easily under the report viewer section. Okay. And those are the, the default report which CMI has been, providing with the kind of requirements which the educational users are basically, finding it. Is it clear?
Basically, it is a pictorial representation of your data, I would say.
It will be, there are two ways. One way would be the tabulation will show you the complete time series data on the couple of indicators. Like you want to see only profitability report.
Yes.
So profitability report will show you time series performance of that company, like HUL or Deloitte or KPMG or Hindustan Unilever or any of them. So how it can be done? That report viewer will show you just a simple report by default where you cannot customize it more, but you can increase the duration of report. Like I want to see 5-year report, 10-year report, 20-year report at a time.
It will include all the variables in the report, no, not specifically that which I am looking for. Report will be like a consolidated form.
It will be in the consolidated form.
Okay.
There are multiple ways. Let me show you how it works. And then there will be a lot more clarity, the kind of information which is available under the report view section. Okay, Query Builder, only area from where we are selecting the triggers. Let's select few companies first. So select company by name. I'm searching, first of all, let's say Adani Enterprises. Okay. So you can simply type Adani and space E, and it will search. It is an automatic search bar. The first tab is the automatic search bar. It search the company under the Prowess database out of 54,000 companies. These are the companies which are starting with the Adani. And there is a E only, E is written. So it is searching E Energy, E Enterprises, all of them. So I'm very specific. This is the company Adani Enterprises, which I'm looking for. Okay. So either you can double click and double click, the company gets selected in the right hand box. So you can select multiple companies in the similar fashion. Like I'm searching one automobile company, like very famous Maruti Suzuki. Okay. And it shows me Maruti S starting with the salt, Suzuki India Private Limited is there. and this is the company. Double click and selected it. What IT sector company? Let's say Wipro. Okay, and this is the company which you can directly Wipro Limited. Selected that company over here. One bank, HDFC Bank. Let's say HDFC Bank, and this is HDFC Bank Limited. Now, once you select a company, now these companies are already selected. So either you can directly click to the report viewer, or you click just that company, right click, there is a report viewer and chart plotter option. It will redirect you to that report view section. Or from here also you can individually right click and go to the report view section, which will help you in just exploring a report for those selective companies. Now, this is the query, answer to your query, that I have searched 4 companies. I have selected them individually, and I got these 4 companies at one place: Maruti Suzuki, Adani Enterprises, Wipro, and HDFC Limited. Now, what I'm going to do, if I select one company over here from the bottom hand box on the left side, then click on one particular report. So this is 821 report. Only one report is the one-page profile, which is a snapshot on a company's performance. Okay. Now this report gives you a time series data. I'll just zoom in and show you what exactly that means. So this is a HDFC Bank showing you that the ownership group is SDFC, their address details, shareholding pattern, and there's a couple of graphs relating to their, their ownership structure. And the last trading day, even though you get the, the SDFC is the listed company, so you get the quarterly financial for the last 6 quarters on the key indicators like profit before tax, profit after tax. There is a growth in income and expenses. You also get to know about the profitability ratios for the last 6 quarters. And it is not just restricted for the 6th quarter. You can see multiple reports. You may find the 10, 20 quarters or 10, 20 years, the data, if it is available, under the Prowess database. Whereas if I scroll it down, you will find last 6 annual performance. So above was the last 6 quarter, below you can find the annual performance for the last 6 annuals. And there is the key indicators like operating profit margin, net profit margin, return on net worth, return on asset, return on capital employed. These kind of indicators are very important for, understanding the performance of the companies, how they are performing. But looking at this number, I cannot make a sense out of it, how, what is the growth, whether there has been any improvement in their earnings or not. But there are a couple of growth reports which I can help you out in understanding, where those reports are basically. There is, under this snapshot, you will find key indicators from a BSE exchange. So key indicator BSE is, the 8th of November. Okay. Today is 9th, yesterday closing price. So every day around 7 p.m. this, the data get updated on the company's performance. So you'll find this is yesterday, today will be updated at 7 p.m. onwards. The closing price for yesterday is 1491. The earning per share, price to earning, market capitalization for the company, written 1 month, written 12 months is available, and the share outstandings. Now, this is the standalone performance of the company. You can also see if the company is having any subsidiary. If you change this to consolidated, you may find the change in these numbers, which is showing you 79,000 to, again, 1 lakh something. So that means SDFC is having certain subsidiaries, where you can see who are the subsidiaries and how much contributions they are making. Now, I'll cover a few more companies because there are students, undergraduate students, who will find it easy for them to begin with. Like identity background. So we know basically these companies from banking, but there might be many companies which you may not have heard of, and you don't know which industry that company belongs to. So this company classification report under identity background.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, can you please explain again difference between standalone and consolidated data?
Pardon, please, what you're saying?
Sir, I am asking, can you please explain difference between standalone and consolidated data
Okay,
of a
sure.
company?
So standalone and consolidated. See, standalone shows you individual performance of the company. See, the name also suggests standing alone. That is standalone. Shows you individual performance of that company, SDFC performance, okay, only SDFC bank performance. Whereas consolidated shows you, if you just see Tata, Birla and Reliance company, you may find they are having couple of subsidiary companies. So in that case, you can track consolidated number. In case of even SDFC, there is a consolidated number is changing, which shows you that it is a combined performance of SDFC with its subsidiaries. You are getting this number how as a group SDFC has been performing. Is it clear?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now I'm making it very simple because I have seen, I've came across hundreds of sessions where basically it is very important for a student to understand what kind of disclosure which the companies are making, whether you can find monthly data, quarterly data, or annual data, which kind of annual data you can find. If you will ask me, you want the debt equity ratio on monthly basis, it may not be possible because the companies are not disclosing it monthly. You may find it quarterly and annual performance of the company, whereas the stock market performance is on the daily basis. You can find it daily. So you need to understand the data which you are using for your project work, at what frequency it is released from the official sources, and second thing, how you can smartly consume that data for doing your research work for your project work. So this is the classification, company classification. Okay, now company classification main product shows you that this SDFC bank over a period of time, it has been in one particular industry, that is banking industry, and we are doing a systematic mapping of a company into a particular industry as this database is standardized. So I can show you a couple of more examples. I'm selecting one more company to give you a clear understanding why Prowess is more more comprehensive, more standardized than any other database, because it's very important if the company is allocated into a particular industry or not. So like I'm giving you an understanding, moving back to the query builder section and searching one more company like Samsonite. Okay, so we know Samsonite India Private Limited. Samsonite is which particular company? What kind of things Samsonite does? Can anyone just answer that?
Luggage,
Yes,
manufacturers, travel.
primarily they deal in all those luggage. And but whether their annual financial statement, what does it shows actually? So we may have an understanding that whether they produce luggage, they manufacture luggage, or they just source luggage and like a wholesaling kind of thing, whether they do such kind of things or not. So I'm just clicking on this standalone. So we track every business product, what kind of activity which they are doing, and from where they are getting those revenue from the products. So if I click on Samsonite, okay, Samsonite over here. So it says Samsonite South Asia Private Limited. Now this is a company. Now this is a company which you can see was doing wholesale business from 2013, and prior to that in 2012 the business was showing that main product. So main product is unique. Main product is the definition of main product under Prowess is if the company is getting more than 50% revenue from a particular business product. So we name it as a main product, and the main product for Samsonite in the 2020 2012 is the suitcase. That means they were producing suitcase at that time. Okay, and the revenue was coming from the suitcase business. Whereas in 2013, a very next year, the business, the main product from where they were getting more than 50% revenue has changed to wholesale trading in leather and leather related products. Now, in the same fashion, every company is being tracked, and we see that if there is a change in their business segment, the main business product is changed over here, and you can see that kind of tracking has been done over a period again and again. So that is a systematic mapping of a company into a particular industry. So if you use, you are working in a suitcase company industry, you are doing a research work on that particularly. So it is very important, do you are having those companies which are, producing or are the major contributor in that particular industry or not. So this is one point where you can, be very sure that which product and which industry CMIE has categorized that company into. Okay. Third report background will give you more understanding about. So some of you might not be in a position to, crunch those numbers, the time series data. You need to use the analytical tool and draw those graphs, line graph, and understand how that company has been performing. But this company background is a 250-word write-up on a company, which tells you that how that company has been performing in the current financial year, the report which is available under Prowess. So for Samsonite, it shows you that Samsonite South Asia ranked 147 in the wholesale trading industry. Okay, it has been categorized under that. If I move to HDFC Bank, the report will change to SDFC, and it shows me SDFC ranked second in the banking services industry in terms of sales revenue in the year 2022-23. It tells you whether it's a listed or unlisted. So listed company in the BSE and NSE exchange. What is the address detail? With the latest financial information, it tells you it's a large size company and its revenue is profitable company from last 29 years ending on March 2023, and with the operating margin, it's the 35% and the net margin is 21%, whereas the debt equity ratio is very low, 0.738 times. So this is a company background which gives in the similar way it has been written on every company, similar language. So it makes easy for you to compare all those companies, by just switching between the companies or switching between the reports. Now, there are various reports. You start exploring these reports from here. So there are governance report, equity ownership. There is a governance like board, trend in director remuneration, composition of board of director, who are the promoter, non-promoter, independent, not independent. In the percentage form, you can see that particularly. There are board meeting and purposes details. Who are the committee members? What kind of the board meeting and the purposes were there? This is the committee meeting and details. You get those details relating to here, that these are the number of times, how many times those board of director have attended those board meetings, and the latest data is still 2023, how many times they have attended those board meetings over here. Related party is there is subsidiaries, auditor reports. If I minimize these options, you get the financial statement. Okay, now under financial statement, there is a very, very, very important report, which is by the name, you can just note it down. It's an executive summary report. Although you can search various report by typing a keyword under this search bar. If you see my screen, this is a search bar. If I type it, executive summary, like say executive summary. So it's search executive summary, which is under the financial statement. There is an annual report, and under annual report also there is a category which shows you summary report, executive summary. So either you can use this branch section and navigate it, or you can search under the search bar the keyword by which that report is named here, and it will help you in easily finding out those reports. Now this report is the time series data on key indicators. So 10 year by default, the data is available. Okay, in one report. You can increase the period. I'll tell you how to do that. But let's see what kind of indicators are available. And this is a standalone V report. So standalone is the individual performance of Wipro. V is the value, and value in the form of currency, that is rupees crores. Although you can change a currency from here to rupees millions or US dollar, UK pound, all those options are available. Whenever you change a currency, if I change a currency to rupees million, or I change this 10-year data to 20-year data, so there's an observation range available over here. I can switch to 5-year data or 20-year data or 30-year data depending upon my requirements. I do it 30 and reload that report. The report will change and show you 30-year data. So it's starting from 1994-95 onwards. You get that data over here, and the currency also get changed. The currency also get changed, which shows you rupees in millions. Now, which are the indicators? The key indicator on income, this sales, expenses, profits, and liabilities, okay, and the asset ratios, current ratios, profitability ratios, liquidity ratios like current ratio, interest coverage ratios, and the efficiency ratios in just one tabulation. And this tabulation is smartly downloadable by Saver's Excel option, or you can just
Just
select.
one query, so
drag and
sorry to
select
interrupt
copy
in
and paste.
between. So can I ask you one question, sir, related to this?
Definitely.
Sir, here you are showing us the annual data here, right? March 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
My query is, in case if, for example, the sales which are available monthly also, if you wanted to have that data, is it possible to change it here, or we need to change the frequency?
So see, if you there, I told you that what kind of data at what frequency it is released by the source. So if we are tracking annual financial data, so that means you will get the data annually. If you are tracking interim financial data, so this interim financial reports are the quarterly performance. If you are seeing monthly data, so there is no financial data which is available monthly, where on the performance of the companies, but there is the monthly data on the stock prices from the BSE and SE indices, their returns information. Is it clear?
For example, sales are generally available. So, like for example, for sales, if you wanted to have that, it is there in any other category. Just a question. Maybe in assets.
See,
No, Khushbu, from where is it available? Like, can you give some example?
Sir, I just want to have any data which is like monthly. It is available annually also, and you wanted to change the frequency to monthly.
No, right. But you're saying that it's available. Monthly is available. Where is it available?
Sir, I don't know where in Prowess, but for example, I
No,
wanted to
not in
have
Prowess.
monthly data
Not in
of
Prowess. Otherwise.
Khushbu, it is see the kind of disclosure which the company is making.
Mhm.
It is not possible to get the performance of the company on the monthly basis if you're tracking, let's say, sales of the goods, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the kind of data which you have seen, the sales of goods, if
Mhm.
let's say if I track automobile company sales, if
Mhm.
the company is telling that they are getting a sales revenue of 1,000 crore, it is not sure that from where they are getting those 1,000 crore income. But the kind of disclosure, like if you see SIAM data, that is Society of Automobile Association,
Mhm.
they give the data on monthly frequency, that number of quantity, let's say two-wheeler, three-wheeler has been sold, that is 1,000 units or 10,000 units. That data is being tracked and that is available under CMI Industry Outlook. But when it comes to CMI Prowess database,
Okay.
none of the company exactly disclose their quantity sold. It is not mandatory, but if the company is disclosing their quantity sold or the sales, sales quantity, then I can say that you can track it if they are disclosing. If they are not telling that particularly on the quarterly and annual basis, so you cannot get that. But revenue is the basic thing which we get, like total income, their expenses. That is the basic thing which every company is disclosing. So you need to differentiate between the thing which you are saying, that the sales number on the number of quantity, or the automobile which I gave you example. So industry association do disclose their industry sales, and that comes on the monthly basis. Somewhere it comes on quarterly and annual as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. I got it. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Dr. Surendra, do you would like to clarify more about that in case?
No, that's what I was saying, that Prowess IQ has a source from where it is extracting. And in
Yes.
that source, there is no monthly information, and therefore Prowess IQ, you will not get it. But if
Yeah.
there are sources which are providing on a regular basis monthly data, like you said, industry, or maybe some other association which is intra-industry, and if somebody is compiling, then maybe that becomes accessible, but not through Prowess IQ, as I understand.
Yeah, definitely. So we compile that data, but that is not part of Prowess. So, let's understand what exactly Prowess can be more powerful enough to for your project work. I'll be happy if I hope I have answered those queries whichever have been raised by the users. And in case if any of the user need more clarification, always they can unmute themselves. I have asked a user to just post your query in the chat box. I'll be addressing all of them. Yeah. So I'll keep it, precise. So you can search, this is the executive summary, important report. Why I'm showing you this executive summary, the one motive is, it is giving you standalone value report in rupees millions or crores. The moment you change this report to GY, so GY report is the growth in year on year. Now growth in year on year is in the form of percentage, absolutely. So you can check whether sales has increased by 10%, 20%, 4%, what percent in which particular year. And you clearly, if you see, like Maruti Suzuki, if I change that company, and you can track. Now this data, you can track and see, these are the percentage change year on year, how their sales has increased or decreased just during COVID and after 2020 and 2021, 22, how the sales number for the 2 year has been negative and showing you 13% fall and 7% fall in the sales revenue of the Maruti Suzuki. This is just growth in year on year performance. And for the period, because it's a 30-year data, so it is showing you compounded annual rate of growth for 30 years. If I change that period and I do it for just 5 years, and I change that to 5 year or 4 year, okay, just clicking on 5, and you need to click on this reload report to just reload that particularly only 5-year data. I'll click on reload report. Now it is just 5-year data with the 5-year compounded annual rate of growth. Clear? Now, another report over here is IY, that is the index on year. So index on year is the, if you have a 5-year data, so it will make 5th year as a base year. And then you can see whether, in the very next year and for next 4 year, what is from 100 to 86 to 100, it is comparing from the base year and telling you how the company is performing in that particular year. If you change it to 10, it will make the 10th year as a base year. And accordingly, you can see maybe 2014 is the base year now, because 23, 10 year, and then you can compare all the successive year on the basis of it. So similar fashion, the V, G, Y, and Y is for the consolidated. And if you change it to peer comparison, Y or V, so V, it will show you the Maruti Suzuki peer comparison, and you can compare all those companies in that particular segment where the Maruti Suzuki belongs to. So the Maruti Suzuki is having a main product, which is passenger car and vans, and they are having the sales revenue high. How many companies are having a sales revenue high in that particular industry? And it clearly tells you that this Maruti Suzuki has been selected. It has been highlighted in the red color. And all these are the BMW, Ford, Fiat is there, Ola Electric is there, Kia Motor, Hyundai, and Suzuki Motors. All these are there. You can compare them on the basis of income, profit after tax. These are the 10, 15 indicators by default. If you want to very specifically compare it on the basis of just expenses, so you can use this expense report. You just switch to expense report. The report will change from executive to expense, but it will compare all those peers on the basis of expenses, the key 2-3 indicators. If you change it to income, it will change the report to income and will show you the income indicators, how you can compare on the basis of income. That becomes more easy when you do a comparative analysis. And over here for that, I'll say you should also look into that peer benchmarking. Why I'm saying so? So peer benchmarking is the benchmark which has been created from the closest peer. If I'm saying that Maruti Suzuki is the company which is having a higher sale, so it will see that how many companies are having a higher sale. And from that particularly, the benchmark has been set, and it is comparing that whether Maruti Suzuki has done better and to what extent. So like Maruti Suzuki, it says that passenger cars, this is the rating, and the sales revenue is high, and that's the benchmark has been created is 37. And how, again, the passenger car over here, it's for 2023. And it is showing you the sales revenue is high, low for Maruti Suzuki for which particularly 2022 or 2023. So this is where you get to know about peer comparison, peer benchmarking. Industry benchmarking also is very unique. This gives you a benchmark for 3 years where you can compare and tell that how that company is performing, whether it's performing underperforming than the industry benchmark or it's overperforming than the industry benchmark. So this would have been another very important report. Now this shows you that the passenger vehicle industry 21, 22, 23, 3-year benchmark is there. Maruti Suzuki belong to passenger vehicles, so 3-year performance of Maruti Suzuki. Now, if I check that in 2021, the industry passenger vehicle industry benchmark shows that the sales revenue should fall by 7%, is falling by 7%, whereas Maruti Suzuki is also around that too, just 7%. Whereas in a very next year, in 2022, the passenger vehicle industry sales grew by 36%. The benchmark is saying that particularly. And then the Maruti Suzuki is just growing by 30%. The sales is growing by 30%. So you can see it's underperforming than the industry benchmark which has been set. Now, from where that industry benchmark has been set, I'll tell you, but it's all those indicators on the basis of which you can compare income, expenses, liabilities, assets, and change in stock. This is the benchmark just for the passenger vehicle industry 21, 22, and for 2023 the number will become much more stronger. Still, this sample size is weaker, so it is highlighted in the red color over here. But 21, 22 is more comparable and meaningful, as the sample size is good enough for only just for the passenger vehicle segment. So Khushbu, IY stands for index in year on year. So your query has been posted in the chat box. So IY is index on year. So index shows you that there is a base year which has been created. You can change a period. You can make 5th year as a base year, 10th year as a base year, and reload that report. So I have made 10th year, and reloading that report will make this 10th year as a base where every value is in 100, 100, 100, 100. Now, very next year, you can see it has changed to 100 to 112. That shows you, as compared to the base year, it has increased 12%. And if I come to the very latest year, it shows you the 235 increase in the industrial sales. That means that 135% increase in last 10 years is in terms of industrial sales. Okay, so there are various reports. You start exploring those reports like asset, liabilities, financial ratios, like profitability, liquidity. There is a net working cycle. There is a distribution of expense, which is very important to understand that what is out of total expenses, 93% is the operating expense. Then the distribution of operating expense has been, been categorized into these raw material, in which they are spending 36% out of operating expense. And again, whether for the selling and distribution, how much percentage of expenditure they are making. Earlier it was 3-4%. In 2023 the selling and distribution percentage has significantly increased to 8%. So you can do cost analysis and see the operating expenses, distribution of expenses, the category which has been made. That is where these kind of reports will be very useful, and you can make sense out of it. There are different forex transaction, contribution to exchequer, compensation to employees, separate report where you can see what kind of compensation which has been made to employee. And there are employee related indicator like compensation per employee, income per employee, PBDITA per employee, profit before profit after tax per employee. ESOP and compensation per employee has been compared over here. These are all the details which has been mentioned under this particular report. And for banking and services, we have a separate category report on their non-performing asset, on their maturity and deposit advances. If you click to SDFC, you can see a couple of banking report like maturity and deposit advances. So this is one of the report for 1 to 14, how the maturity and borrowing, deposit and loan advances. So I'll just take a pause. There are a lot more reports. You start exploring these reports by your own, but you get in clarity that there are identity report, ownership report, financial report, security prices from the BSE and SE reports are there. capital changes are there, reports relating to, the business segment, the kind of product the company is dealing in, and what kind of revenue which they are getting from those products is there, which is one report I can show you, like Maruti Suzuki. And if I move to under product manufacturer, there is a product detail report. So this product detail report will give you in clarity why I was saying that passenger car is the main product of the, the Maruti Suzuki, because they are getting 87, 88, 89% revenue from that particular segment. And for the latest year, it's a 79% revenue only coming from the passenger car segment. Then there's a Jeep segment and other, areas from where they are getting revenue. So this is the way how we are mapping the company into a particular industry. There is a capex and M&A reports which you need to explore by your own, and which will tell you the kind of currently outstanding investment project and the deals of merger which has been there in the past. So that is what from the report view section. I have majorly covered it because of the participant of, I believe undergraduate and postgraduate student have found certain things from here. There is a query from Anirudh. So I'm just addressing it from Rajni first. So can we find data on, sustainability disclosure in CMIE? See, Rajni, although, company, the kind of disclosure which the companies have made, sustainability report has not been there, but we find normally, there is, you can track the ESG briefing which is available under the credit rating report, and that report is available under Prowess website under the rating rationals. So once you know that particularly, whether this company, the credit rating has been announced by CRISIL or not, and if it is available under the Prowess website, you can view that report particularly. Apart from that, is there any qualitative data which is available under Prowess? So I'll suggest you, like, you can explore CSR activities data. Okay, CSR activities numbers are there, that what amount they're investing in the CSR activities and what amount they need to be in, which they need to invest as per the act. And but it doesn't give you more clarity. Apart from that, you can always see the descriptive part which is available under the the annual report pages which is available under the Prowess website. I hope that is clear to you. So Anirudh,
yes, sir, we can move on. Yeah.
Yeah. So is there the number of employees data? Yes, there is a number of employees data. I'll run that query. But in report where you have seen the compensation to employees was there, and if you see, one report would be useful from compensation to employees. Second, you can check is, I'll just address this particularly. Compensation to employees. Okay. Now this is the report which is giving you the compensation related details and number of employees in thousands. So this same report gives you number of employees in thousands and showing you how the number of employees is increasing over a period of time. If you want to run that query under the Prowess query section, I'll be running those 2-3 queries to help you understand how you can download it for multiple companies. See, report viewer have one limitation: multiple companies at a time. You can see a peer comparison report, but you cannot see it for all those companies according to your requirement. Let's say you have your own set of 10 companies, 20 companies, and you want to compare those 10-20 companies according to your data requirements. That can be done through the query builder option, which I'll be running a 1 or 2 query and explaining how it can be done. So let's move to the query builder. Okay, so query builder. So query builder, we have seen these 4-5 companies. I'm taking these 5 companies into one particular sheet. So you can individually, we have searched these companies, okay, by name. How to take these companies to your output view so that you can add for 5-10 years data in that particular sheet. So just select your domain all companies. So it means all companies out of 54,000, it is selecting these 5 companies. And your destination is OAC, that means output sheet of companies, that is the output view, and executing it by, so you need to click just once on the execution option. So executing it by send to new OAC, that means it will send these 5 selected company to an output sheet where I can add 10-20 year data in that one particular sheet. Okay, if I would have done add data to current OSC, if there would have been any existing sheet, it would have added these 5 companies name into that particular sheet. Okay, now send to new OSC will generate always, it will generate a fresh new sheet. That is the clarity which you need to get how to run a query. So what I did individually, I selected those company, I moved it by a double click to this particular section, and then I, out of all companies, it will search those 5 companies which were selected, and I send it using the send to new OSC option. Now, once you send by a click on send to new OSC, you need to wait for a couple of seconds and click on new output and check whether your list of companies is ready. So it shows me select company command has been executed, and I need to continue it to check my 5 list of companies. Now, you can see this is the second heading where our screen is there. And these 5 companies are just in one sheet where I can add multiple data relating to it. Now, similarly, I can go back to the query builder. Okay, I'm doing the same thing for another set of companies. Just pay attention. I'm selecting another set, like say, select company in the predefined, and this is the listed companies like select BSE Sensex. Okay, so selecting BSE Sensex companies, it's over here, the Sensex has been selected. Out of all company, 54,000, it will just give me 30 companies of Sensex, and the same process send to new OSC. Okay, so this is the second list which I'll get in my output sheet. The third list I'm doing, and I'm selecting, let's say, banking companies. So I selected this banking as a list, and I'm removing this BSE Sensex. So this is only the banking services list of companies. And out of all companies, the same process, send to new OSC. Now 3 sheets parallelly, I can work and I can get the data according to my requirements. I'll put another kind of things into play to make this, more magical, how powerful Prowess is. So 3 list executed, and now I'm clicking on new output to check all those 3 sheets where 5 companies, then 30 companies, and then the banking companies. Okay, so this is first sheet, 5 companies, 30 companies, second one, and the third one is 225 banking companies. Now, I'm just seeing, I have addressed those things which were earlier posted. There is one query from Anirudh, it has been that whether we can select it by companies. I have selected the companies by name. We can also select companies by BSc, script ID, NSC symbols, and NIC code wise. There are ways I can tell you how to select, but just remind me before ending the session that how to select an NIC code first. Okay, sir, can we find the bank? Okay, find bank appointed directors. Absolutely, you can find that. I'll add those data in this particular sheet. I'm also wanted to ask that what is the income per employee? Okay, so income per employee was also mentioned in the report, which I have shown in the report. We are in the compensation to employee, but you can take total employee as an indicator, and then you can add the total income and you can divide it and check whether, what is the per employee revenue which has been there. So let's add those things. So which list of companies where you want to add first? So you can choose wisely by setting that sheet as your default. So which is your default sheet? The default sheet where the data will get added or the query will run is this sheet where the blue color C icon is presented over here, the last sheet. So if I want to add it in BSc 30 companies, I'll click on that sheet where black color C icon is there, and I'll set that current sheet, set current sheet option. I'll click on set current sheet. Now this will become my current sheet where I can run a query and execute my command. Now it will apply to only these 30 companies, not on the banking list. So if I want to apply it on the first 5 companies, I have to make that sheet as my current by set current sheet. So once you make whichever sheet as your current, then you need to go back, like these 30 companies, BSE Sensex, we will add the data in this sheet, going back to the query builder, okay, and first adding the basic information. Now, identity. So under address and identity, the basic information would be that what is the SIN code of the company, what is the NIC code. This would also address, if you are also seeing that NIC code and NIC name, you can also add the basic information. Industry group, the main product from where they are getting, you know, the revenue, more than 50% revenue. If you want to see the ownership group, you can track that. And there is also delisting date or suspension date from NSE and BSE, their registered office, address and contact number details, head office and corporate office. These are the basic information. Now, if I want these 5 indicators, 6 indicators data to be added in that BSE Sensex list, I'll change my domain to companies in the current OAC. That means currently that sheet where 30 companies are there, not on all companies. So all companies will give this basic information on 54,000 companies. So I'm very specific, only companies in the current OAC, and sticking to the same domain companies in the current, you know, that in the OAC, that is the output view over here, second heading, and just saying add data to OAC. So adding data to OAC will add the data in the same sheet. Okay, done. Added these basic information, wait for a couple of seconds, and then click on new output and see those basic information will be added. Okay, so this is the basic information, SIN code, you know, main product, NIC code, ownership group of all these, you know, companies that are the BSE Sensex, and even the industries are different. You can see the main product is telecom and banking, other, and what are the main products from where they are getting revenue. I'll go back to query.
Hello. How you got this page?
Regarding?
I'm not able to get. So one query. So after selecting all these 4 options, what you have done?
So after selecting those different sheet of companies, okay, that you have understood how we have took those list of companies.
Yeah, so you have selected this ownership group and all these things. Then after that, what you did?
So I have selected under company address and identity. I clicked on identity indicator trigger. I selected these couple of basic indicators. I changed my domain to companies in the current OAC. The purpose of selecting companies in the current OAC means we have already that list of 30 companies which I have set as a default list. So it will add these basic 5 indicators data in those 30 list of companies. Okay. Now you need to define your destination where you want the data. So I'm sticking to the same old option, OAC. Okay, and then simply click on add data to OAC. Only once you have to click so that you can get the data, and wait for a couple of seconds until this start blinking. So I have already done that. So, you know, I can add and see that data. Once I click on new output, the same sheet appear over here, and it takes me automatically to that particular sheet, which shows you this particular data on your screen. Clear?
Yes, I received. Thank you.
I'm showing you, this is the basic information. In the similar fashion, let's say you want to add 5-year data on financial indicators. So that is also the same process, because we have that current sheet with the blue color icon on that 30 list of companies. Okay, this is the second list, blue color icon. This is the current sheet. In the same sheet, I'm going to add annual financial statement data. So I'm picking number of employees as well. So like annual financial statement, under financial statement, I'm selecting total income. I'm selecting profit, like profit after tax. I'm selecting a couple of more indicators like profitability ratios. Even I can select return on net worth, return on capital employed, return on total assets. I'm minimizing. I can keep a couple of more indicators like say CSR amount, and this is CSR amount spent by the company, and this is again other details I can keep like miscellaneous disclosure. There is a number of employees. I can also check the compensation to employees from total expenses. So compensation to employees I've selected. You can select another indicator like debt to equity or any other indicator, P.G.D.A.V. Simply type it over here. This is a search bar. I'm typing debt to equity, okay? And you can search any indicator like that. I'm searching debt to equity. I'll keep my cursor over here in the top, debt to equity, and searching it, search, and it search debt to equity wherever it has been written. So there is a capital employed, there are different indicators which are available. So whichever indicator you select, you need to also check whether those indicators have been highlighted in the left side, right side over here. The S shows you standalone data, C is the consolidated. Now these indicator has been selected. Now for how many years you want the data? So simply in query on date, you can remove L. So L by default is written because it shows you latest data available for that particular year. So you change it to 2023, 2023. Okay, for 1 year you are going to write 202303. That is the March ending financial year. If you get a confusion in writing a date, always click on question mark, okay, and see all those date formats are available over here, the way you can type it. So if you want time series data, you can write it in this similar fashion, 2012-03-2015-03. So if I write that, like say 2026-03 or 2028-03-2022 or 2303. So this is in the similar way, using question mark in the similar fashion I have written. On query on date option, don't change output date, although there are different formats which are mentioned in the question mark for the output date. But annual period, it gives you the annual period data for this particular range which we have written. I'm changing my domain to companies in the current OSC, sticking to those 30 companies. So I've changed my domain. OSC, that means only that list of companies in the same destination where those data is there. In the same sheet, I'll use add data to OSC. So आपको उसी sheet में, in the same sheet, the data will get added for these 9 indicators. I hope that is clear how I have executed. Now, just for a couple of seconds and see 2018 till 2023, what kind of data is there. Okay, and just continuing it. Now you can see this is the data, the basic information. After basic information, you are getting the data on rupees millions because I have changed the currency earlier. 2018, 19, 20, 22. All those indicators are there. And one more thing, this is the data. How to download? There is the save as Excel option. And there is also a way to download this simply in the form of TXT when you are having a lot more data requirements. So sometimes it happens that it takes times, you know, if it depends on the how much bulk data you are downloading. So if you feel that Prowess is taking time in downloading and showing you that particular data, so in the same data can also be seen using this particular option, download as TXT file. It will download the data in the panel format. Okay, so if I use and I type it financial for BSE 30 companies, and this is the same data, I'm executing it again on the TXT format for 18 till 2023, seeing how it looks like in the panel format. and it will not take much time in just presenting and downloading that data from the Prowess database. Although you need to check at the same time what are the formats of txt file. So you can see it from this setting option on the top, and there is a txt output over here, and which shows you companies in rows and dates in column, okay, and companies and dates in rows. So this is the panel format, the second one, companies and dates in rows. I'm saving that option under this setting, which is available, and executing it again to showcase that how it's look like in the txt and how it become easy when you download the bulk data from the Prowess database, which is easy to consume for the research scholars. But only execute your query once, because it happens that you have executed twice or thrice saying that that data has been executed an hour back or half an hour back, but you have not found that data. It's very important how you're executing that query, particularly in Prowess. So it's simple process. First, take your list to the output sheet, then add the data, whichever data you require, and then you get all those data points at one place. So this is, see, if I execute the txt file from here, I may not get a data because it's a text file. The text file not be visible over here. So it may show only a blank sheet with the name of companies on which the text data has been downloaded. So this is a blank sheet on which the text data has been downloaded. Now, where is that text file? I don't know. Now, whenever you are downloading the data on the text format, in case of research scholars, go to command history and see that your command is the last command which you have executed. Okay. Now, last command will always show you the text file download option over here, like text file download. Check that box, text file download over here. This box should be selected, that it will generate OSC list of companies. Text download will also be seen, and it will also show the show text directory on text download. That means it will automatically pop up that location of that folder where that text file is. And if I download that again from here, the command history and planner, by selecting those checkbox, which is available under the query on annual report, now it automatically pop up that particular location. Can you see my location? It is over here under the financial statement. The text file is being opened. Now, if I open this text file, I'm copying this total text data, okay, and opening the Excel sheet to make it, easy for you. Excel, and how you are going to consume it when you are, using this text data. So although you can see there is a, segregation of data by simply a pipe sign on or between all these numbers which you are seeing in the text file. Now, if I open a blank text sheet, I need to simply paste it in the first cell. Now it looks like it's a text. Now how to convert it in the rows and columns? So go to the data section, select the first A column, go to the data section, and then there is a text to column option over here, and change your delimit option, change delimit, do it next, and in the other option, put a pipe sign, which is segregating all these numbers you can see on the screen. And I'm putting a pipe sign, which is just above the enter key by holding a shift button. And it shows me in the column and rows, and this data is getting segregated properly in the rows and columns. So this is how you are going to download, and you will not face a challenge when you are downloading a bulk data from Prowess database, because it is downloading it in the text. No need to see it in the Prowess application, and even in downloading and copying pasting it from the Prowess. It is the simplest format when for the research scholars.
Can you repeat this last exercise where you open at the Excel and then you paste it here, and then the options that you need to click?
I'll just come. So this is a text file. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From here onward, you want to know how I copy?
Yes, sir, because this is very nice thing that Prowess is giving, because I used it earlier. This option was not there, so I had done manually, but I really liked it. So I would like to see it again.
Normally, I told you that Prowess command history and planner, last command, whichever you have executed, if you just select these all options, show text directory on text download, And for your kind information, this file is in the C drive where Prowess folder is there. But some of you might find it complicated to find that particular location. If you click on download again, so it will generate that file and will show you a blank sheet. This in the output sheet only list of companies, but you get this text file, and if you copy Control All and copy it, okay, and just go to the Excel sheet and paste it over here in the first cell. And why it has categorized? If it has categorized because I have used this command earlier. How I have used this command? Delimit option is there. Go to data section, delimit, and do it next. And under the other section, use the pipe sign, which we are already seeing. If I don't use pipe sign, it will not segregate the data. I do it next and it gets finished and the data is getting segregated over here. Clear? So I think we should take a pause over here. I have addressed those things, and still, economic outlook has not been discussed, and that is a new service for all of you. So I'll just in 5 minutes I'll wind up with the Prowess database, and will Pratima will be addressing the economic outlook platform. I think that would be good, Dr. Surendra.
Yes, in fact, I wanted to convey that since you have already taken the lead, so that's good enough.
Yes. So just I'm seeing a couple of if query has been posted in there. Oh, so this text file option has already been there in the past. Those who are user of Prowess, so many of them knows about how to download the panel format, but this was very important for scholars to make them aware that how they can do it. Report, there are ways of plotting charts. I have not went into those details, but you can explore the whatever data you are downloading, although you can see and plot those charts in the Excel. But in case if you have these, like say you want to select only and compare these couple of ratios like return on net worth, return on capital employed, return on total assets, for these companies, don't select the descriptive part, just select the numbers and use the indicator chart over here, and it draw a line graph, but you can change it to bar, okay, and just do it row to column or column to row. This is how it's look like presentable, showing you the return on net worth, capital employed, and total assets. And this image can be easily downloaded in the PNG format by image, and you can send it to the output sheet. And the moment if you change it to any other numbers, like I change it to these number of employees or any other details, if I move it to total income and profit after tax, it will change my graph to that particularly, and comparing it and showing you how it's looked like. So that is all from the Prowess database. For directors query, make it sure that it is very clear that when you download the data, you need to be very cautious when you download the data, what kind of formats it is available. So if I try to download the data of directors, let's say only on total income and seeing whether they are executive, non-executive, promoter, non-promoters, these all directors, whether they are CEO and MD or chairman, for all those 30 companies for let's say only 2023 03 year, the basic thing would be here that if you extract this data of director in OSC, it will give just you the company names, not the director's name. Why it's so? Because one company may have 10 directors, whereas the data which we have downloaded earlier, that was one company is having only one profit after tax, not 10 times the profit after tax. That was 10 year for profit after tax which you are getting. But in 1 year, you may find 10 directors for one company. So that is a very different kind of data presentation. So you need to download that data into the worksheet option where companies, director, and time details will be available. And just select the short friendly option to make it more, clear that which director belong to which particular company. It will, fill in the gaps and just execute it by send to new SC. It will generate the data for all the directors and key persons, showing you that how many total remuneration, executive, non-executive, independent, non-independent. Even you can have selected if other indicator, it would have shown you that kind of data points. So make it sure selection is perfect for which companies you want. dates, and destination, and then execution. So now this is the directors data, and it tells you who are the directors for which companies, for these 30 companies. And if you need it for just banking companies, change your selected set of list from the output view, make that sheet as your current sheet, and then similar kind of query you can run it on any other list of companies. So this is Asian Paint 10-year one year data, 10 or 12 directors, their designation, their independent, non-independent, their total remuneration. So this is the different format giving you the data under the worksheet, not under the output view. So that is all from here. Where to post your query for getting expert help? So this is the Prowess website. And from Prowess website, I'll tell two important things. One is, there is a lot more thing I have explained, although you will be sharing this recording, with the users, and it will be uploaded as, discussed by Dr. Shikha, that it will be uploaded under the YouTube channel as well. But for more understanding, under Prowess, website, this is the Prowess IQ query trigger, 80 query trigger. And under one trigger would be like selecting company by name, and another would be selecting company from predefined sets. If you select company by name, it will tell you a short 3-4 minute YouTube video how you can select a company from Prowess application. In the similar fashion, I want to select an industry or indices. This is select company in the predefined set, a short YouTube video to explain that. If you go to financial statement and you want to run annual financial statement query, I can select a query option over here. And this is the similar fashion how you can write a date and select indicators and get 3-4 minute YouTube video will help you in understanding that. So all those triggers, whichever you have seen in the application, in the same way it has been designed over here, ownership, company address and identity, like identity indicator, this category will help you in just running the similar kind of query under the Prowess application. And last but not the least, seek clarification is the area where you can interact with the Prowess analyst team. So for any clarification on operational issue, just installation, any problem, you can write it over here that I'm facing a Prowess application issue. I'm not able to install it, or there is any error. You can write it over here and you can post it using the post query option, which is there. Or if you're searching a couple of companies or data points, you can write it there, like availability of a data for a company, and select this and say, I'm working on banking companies. Is there any data on CSR or any other thing, whichever you are interested in, and post your query. Even you can attach your attachment using these options. So within 2-3 hours, you get a response from the analyst team. They know every bit of details on all over 4,000 indicators. So that is all which is available, under the Prowess database. And I hope, I have addressed all those queries which has been posted. There is Bhumika. So can we find the data on ESG index? ESG index companies, you can see from I have selected the BSE Sensex index. In the same way, if there is any ESG index under the Prowess application, so you can see those list of companies, but it will not give you the ESG scoring. It will give you the index those companies are belong to, and then you can see their financial detail, whatever financial details you would like to have. So over here, banking services, I remove banking. If you type ESG, and search it. So it shows you BSE 100 ESG index. If I select move again, there is a NSE 100 ESG index. These indexes are available. You can work on that. So, okay. Sir, can we please demonstrate how to find the institutional promoter and foreign promoters? So promoter would have been the area over here, equity holder and promoter. If you are looking for aggregate numbers, okay, if you are seeing promoter, your list of 30 companies is already there in the output sheet, let's say, and you want to see the number of shares which the promoter is holding, and you want to see all the investors. So it is all the investor, promoter, non-promoter, logged in shares, all those options you can see, and you can do it latest companies in the current 2SC, and just move it down to worksheet as an option, only option, to get those promoters names and details, number of shareholdings of those promoters. and then send it to the new SC. And you will get the list of those promoters. Whereas the NIC code options of selecting companies by NIC code is available over here under the business segment. And I would say that business segment option, you should select NIC code from main product and service group. Our main product and service group will give you, it actually maps CMI classification with the NIC classification. So NIC classification is over here. You can select NIC code by 02021, 0221, or you can search it simply over here by typing the NIC code. Select that code and simply select the WS option. Like I want all the codes below, that particularly. I'll select control button or shift button over here and selecting these 3 or 4 options, whichever I find it suitable, and or these multiple queries. And if I run it, let's say short friendly and show all product and service codes, show all product and group level, I can get it for the latest period, how many company belong to that particular NIC category, 0201. So these are 2 query I have executed, the directors, and the second one is for the NIC codes and symbols. So one is, this is the equity, promoters details. So that is all, I hope, that is briefly explain what kind of information and how you can access it. So this is non-promoters, promoters detail, what amount of share they are holding, what percentage of share they are holding. This is number of share, percentage of share of the promoters which they're holding. And for, that is the kind how you can download it using the data points. Second would be the NIC code, and NIC code will be available again under this sheet. So just for last 1 more minute, and then Pratima will be, taking care of the economic outlook. She will briefly explain what the services are.
So if there are more queries, maybe in next 1 minute, people can raise on this aspect.
Sure.
I know it's an ocean. I have attended many sessions of Prowess. Maybe I'm a poor learner, but I still feel there are many things to learn.
So even I would say, every time whenever we run query on Prowess, there is a lot more thing to learn even for us. And it's every time it is increasing, there's a lot more things to explore, the kind of data which is available. I have not touched the advanced section. It is simple and I have made it precise, but start running those queries and seeing that the kind of data which we get from those queries. Like this was the NIC code, and it is telling you the main product NIC section and with the details like NIC group, and at the end you can get all those code details and that which code NIC group code level is also available here.
Yeah, but definitely in a short span, still you have covered comprehensively many things, and still some of the researchers who are connected today have some questions they can ask. And I'm sure Mr. Negi would agree that we don't know how far away Arctic and Antarctica is, and we are still fishing near the seashore. And he has shown us the iceberg and touched the iceberg somewhat. So that's how it is. Our willingness to learn will only bring us closer to Arctic and Antarctic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. The more and more you explore, the more and more we'll find it out that whether this can be solved through the Prowess or any other thing. So one thing where, so can I please demonstrate how to find the institution? Okay, that has been clear. Last query, I think it is where to find bank appointed directors. See, in terms of director, you need to first get your list of companies. Like I have selected under the output view 3 lists, but I have not run any query on banking list, if you remember. So there was 3rd list. This is the banking list. If I make that sheet as my set current sheet, and I just see that out of these list of companies, I want to see all for 2023, how many banks are having their directors. Like there was a question from Roshan that where we find bank appointed directors. Okay. Now, appointed directors, there is no such category by which I can say that which director has been appointed, but you can get the designation of director. It will give you all the director at one place. Now, if you do not select any designation, although there is a separate query where you can select a particular designation, but because every company is disclosing their directors in a very different way, somewhere you may find, the way there is a managing director, there is a director, there is an executive director, there is a non-executive director, the category is very different. If you do not select it by any category, and let's see how kind of director for all those banks are available. If you just select any of these indicators, like say number of other companies they are chairperson, and number of other companies they are director, and if you want to see how many times they have attended those board meetings for 2023 year, and simply sort friendly, it will fill in those gaps, will mention in front of every director which company they belong, and WS is an option where company's director and time details will be there, and do it send to new SC. And then you will get all those data for, for 2023, for all those banks, for the latest year, how many banks have these directors information, and who are the directors which they have appointed. There is a way, if you are just looking for their appointment dates, you can check those appointment dates as well. Like it gives you that appointment date. If you have marked this as in check, you can check the appointment date and resignation date of the directors. That will bring in a clarity whether in 2022 or 23, whether there is a new director which has been appointed or not. This was designation of director. There is a name of director. If you even want to, search the director by their DIN code or by their name, like I know Rakesh Junjunwala, or you want to search any other, key names as in promoter or director, you can do so using this name of director and manager, the way it can help you in searching those. So just loading that sheet. In case if any of the user is having a query, we can have last minute, and you can just unmute yourself, and I can address that too. So this is name of director. You can search the name, by which name they been known. New directors. If you want to search new director, you can put this as on new director, and you can just run that query on that list of companies which is already there in the output sheet, and just run it for 2023-03. And this can be another way of running a query, just checking who are the new directors from name of the director, new director, and not selecting any name, just new director, writing a year, selecting WS, running, and then you get the list of companies. So 2 query I have run on directors. One was without selecting any designation, whether they are new or old, but I have not added that appointment date. That appointment date and designation date would be important for you to check when they got appointed. Yes, Dr. Rabia, please.
Hello, sir. A very good evening, sir. Actually, I joined very late because I got stuck in college, so I missed a lot of very important contents here. So since it's just last moment, I just want to ask a few queries regarding, since I am an economist, I am a professor in economics. So
Yeah.
I wanted to know, like, how with this in this Prowess, can we get data on economic indicators like unemployment, poverty, and the other all the kind of economic indicators?
The poverty and other economic indicators are available under economic outlook that we are just going to start in next 5 minutes.
Okay.
You have not missed that section. So Pratima
okay.
will be taking care of, the unemployment and all the macroeconomy indicators which, we are covering. But it is a one-stop solution for all economy, socio-economic indicators which, Pratima can take forward from here, I think.
Okay, so that will be available on Economic Outlook. This CMI, this thing, it doesn't have data on that.
Ma'am, CMI is the organization. We have 20 different services. Prowess is one of them. And second solution which we provide is the Economic Outlook. That is a flagship service. Prowess is the service which gives you only data on companies' performance, 54,000 companies.
Okay, okay, sir. Let's
So,
say,
ma'am,
sir,
you're
I
not missed,
also
you're
want
not
to.
missed anything. You're just in nick of time.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much because I was really interested in economic data.
But ma'am, both the services will be accessible by same login credentials. So user who are already using Prowess, so they can use by the same login credential the Economic Outlook.
But sir, unfortunately, I'm not able to download this Prowess on my Mac. I tried with I'm not able how I can download on Mac.
Ma'am, MacBook user, if there is a way, if you can, through any tech-savvy person, if you are having any colleague, if
Okay.
you can get a help in downloading the dual boot system. I'll say if in MacBook you can install a Windows operating system, then you can access the Prowess application. Otherwise, from Prowess website, you can, download a lot of information which is available over there. But Economic Outlook is not an application. It's simply a website for all economic indicators. Using your smartphone, you can also access through MacBook anywhere.
Okay.
And at aggregate level, corporate sector performance, I'll not say at company level, at aggregate level, Pratima will be, informing you where you can get it from the Economic Outlook in case you are interested.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for, giving your time. I have taken.
Hello, sir. May I ask one question, please?
Yes, sure, please.
Yes,
Sorry, sir, for the delay. I just want to know that is there any way to get the stock analyst recommendation data on the different companies in a one platform, compiled data?
So you are saying stock analyst?
Yes, registered stock analyst on the SEBI registered stock analyst recommendations data on the various companies.
No, ma'am, that would not be possible.
No, do you compile it in some other service?
This would be another way of downloading, but the stock analyst is not being covered under Prowess database. But the employee-related data, number of employees, information like that.
No, sir. Her question is, do you have some other service through which it is accessible?
That is not covered under CMI, any of the services.
Or any other company or any other facility in India is available to get that compiled data?
Ma'am, I think that is not the organized. Although if SEBI has been, taking track of it, there might be a situation, because it's a stockbroker and analyst. So there might be a situation where you can get the stockbroker's details. But I'm not
that is available on SEBI.
that you can get out of it. Although I can check, and I can, take your details from, later on from Dr. Surendra.
Because Nisha, if I'm right, in other countries, I think this kind of information is available.
In other countries, it is available officially, but I'm talking about in India.
Yeah.
We need to compile that data. There is
So
no
maybe
one
they will
single
check.
platform.
They will
There is
check
no
at
one
their
single
end.
platform.
So
They'll check at their end.
Knowledge, I have not came across any such platform where I can get those details. But I'll definitely look into it. If I find any source freely available, in case, I'll definitely inform you. I'll get in touch.
Thank you so much, sir.
Dr. Surendra and the concerned. Yeah. Thank you, Nisha ji, and thank you all of you just for giving your time. I'll hand over to Pratima and unshare that screen, and so that you can share it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It was a very, very informative session. We all have gained very in-depth knowledge. And as I said at the starting, that it is going to be a very, active session. You may ask your doubts, take notes, and I think everybody is doing that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that is very important because I came across all those users. So the more and more you explore a platform, I think you'll get a lot more confidence in running
Yes,
all
sir.
those things.
Definitely, sir. So thank you so much. I'm sure everybody has enjoyed it, and it was very valuable to all of us.
So
Thank you, sir.
so Pratima is there.
So next, I would like to
Will
call
be sharing her
Indranil
screen.
Chaudhary, sir. I'm sorry, sir. There is one more speaker in between. He's a
Prepare for
professor.
10 minutes or so.
Yeah. Our next speaker for today is Professor Indranil Chaudhary, sir. Welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Sir is an
Thank you. Yeah. Am I
sir is
audible?
an associate. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Charvi, you wanted to say a few words about
Yes,
Indranil.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes. So, sir is an associate professor in the Department of Economics of P.G.D.A.V College, University of Delhi. Sir has more than 20 years of teaching experience at Delhi University. He did his MA, MPhil, and PhD at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. His areas of interest are monetary economics and macroeconomics. Apart from economics, Sir is also interested in data science and also knows the programming language R. He is also an associate at the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies at Shimla. He is also a regular columnist in The Hindu. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Charvi, and thank you, Professor Surinder, for giving me this opportunity to speak here. I'll be very brief because I know everyone is waiting for what about Outlook, India Outlook. So I had prepared a presentation on a paper which had been published a few months back. I'll share that and I'll just very quickly present the data part of that paper. And before that, I have a query. I have a request to the CMI persons who are there. So please, I think I have a Mac computer, and a lot of us have only Mac computers. So it is very difficult to get another computer to use Prowess IQ. So if possible, if Prowess IQ can be developed for Mac. Okay, very quickly, let me share the screen and is the screen visible to all?
Yes, sir.
So this is a short presentation on this paper, Monetary Policy in the Midst of Cost Push Inflation. This was published in EPW in June. In introduction, you see in our country or any inflation targeting country, the framework on which inflation targeting is based, it is called the New Keynesian Macroeconomic Framework. Now, the New Keynesian macroeconomic framework is based on three equations, three relationships. The number one, what is they call the IS relationship. The second is the Phillips curve. And the third one is what is called the monetary policy rule. Now, if we look at some stylized facts where the use of Outlook comes, all this data which we have used for this paper, we have got it from RBI website or from MOSPI website. We did not have this Outlook facility of CMI while writing this paper. So this graph shows the inflation rate as measured by CPIC and the oil price, the growth rate of oil price, and the terms of trade. Terms of trade here, it is the ratio of the CPI food and CPI non-food. As we can see from this graph that the relationship, there seems to be some relationship between the movement of CPIC, that is the blue graph, the blue line, and the gray line, the growth rate of oil prices. It doesn't seem to be the case that there is any relationship between the terms of trade and CPIC. Now, why terms of trade is important? Now, if there is a manufacturing growth, then there will be more demand for food products, and if food products, given the supply, if there is more demand for food, then the prices of food will go up, there will be an inflation, and the terms of trade will rise. Now, to see whether manufacturing sector has had any impact on the terms of trade, or that is on the prices of food product, we did this scatter plot. This is a scatter plot between the terms of trade and the year-to-year growth rate of IIP. IIP has been used as a proxy of IIP index has been used as a proxy of the manufacturing growth of the economy. What we find that there is no relationship between the scatter plot shows that there is no such positive relationship between TOT, terms of trade, and industrial growth rate. So one cannot say that the inflation or the food price inflation is because of the increase in the growth rate in the manufacturing sector from this figure 2. Now, the third thing is the repo rate. All of us know that the repo rate is the policy rate of the central bank, in our case, the RBI in our country, and RBI increases or decreases the policy rate to control inflation, because that is the mandate to the RBI, and that is what they do based on the policy framework of inflation targeting. Now, as I had already mentioned, there are 3 building blocks in the new Keynesian theory. The first one is what is called the IS curve, which relates negatively. There is a negative relationship between output gap and the rate of interest. Phillips curve, which tells us that if the output gap increases, if there is more demand in the economy, inflation will go up. And monetary policy rule, there could be 2 types of monetary policy rules. One is what is called optimal monetary policy rule. The other one is Taylor's rule. Now, the optimal monetary policy rule gives us this loss function, which actually tells us that the RBI or the central bank minimizes the loss function. That is, if we do the little bit of algebra, we get from 3a to 3b by differentiating the loss function. And the Taylor's rule is in that rule, what RBI does or any central bank does, it fixes the rate of interest given the coefficient C and F. That if the central bank thinks that the inflation gap is more important, then the coefficient value of C will be higher. If it thinks that the output gap is more important, F will be higher. Now, I am skipping this part. Now, basically, this part, the algebra here tells us that if there is a supply shock, E2 is the supply shock. If there is a supply shock, then that will result in a higher interest rate in the monetary policy rule framework. And in the next slide, the algebra here shows that if the same thing, if there is a supply shock E2, if there is a positive E2 in the Taylor's rule case also, the interest rate will be increased by the RBI or the central bank. All these things can be summed up in these 3 diagrams, 3-phase diagrams. On the left-hand side, we have Phillips curve, which is positively sloped. Now, the positive slope of the Phillips curve is a sine qua non for implementation of monetary policy, for existence of a proper inflation targeting monetary policy. Now, if the Phillips curve is positively sloped and if there is a supply shock, then Phillips curve will go up from PC0 to PC1. As it goes up, by the Taylor's rule, the interest rate will be increased, the repo rate will be increased from R1 to R2. That will have a dampening effect on the economy, and as a result, the inflation will fall from P2 to P3. So this is what happens when there is a supply shock and when the Phillips curve is positively sloped. That is, the inflation gets somehow controlled by the monetary authority. Whereas when the Phillips curve is a flat Phillips curve, what we find that in the case of the Taylor's rule, existence of Taylor's rule, what happens is that if there is a supply shock, inflation increases from P1 to P2, and the monetary authority increases the interest rate from R1 to R2, but that has no impact on the inflation rate. Inflation remains to be as high as it was. And in the third case, it's the typical case in which it is the open market, it is the the monetary policy is absolutely ineffective, because when there is a supply shock, PC0, the inflation moves up from P1 to P2, the output gap and the interest rate remains to be the same, because the RBI doesn't act, and there is no way that it could actually decrease the interest rate, decrease the inflation rate. So optimal monetary policy rule with a flat Phillips curve results in a situation where interest rate doesn't increase, but inflation rises. The worst case situation is Taylor's rule with flat Phillips curve, where interest rate increases as well as inflation rises. Now, we did a lot of econometrics to see which kind of policy framework the RBI is operating. So what we found out that the Phillips curve, in the Phillips curve equation, output gap has no impact on the inflation rate. And for the monetary policy rate, we found that the repo rate gets affected by the output gap as well as the constant. And the interesting result that we got, the econometric result that you got, that the Phillips curve equation, the inflation rate, it's affected by the oil price growth rate. So there is some cost push factor which explains inflation in India, but the demand side factor doesn't explain inflation in the Indian case. So firstly, the presence of a flat Phillips curve makes the monetary policy ineffective in mitigating inflation pressure. That is the first conclusion from in our paper. The second is the significant impact of cost push factors explains both the causes of high inflation as well as the episodes of moderate inflation rate, despite the ineffectiveness of monetary policy. The second graph. And the third factor and the third conclusion is there is a significant effect of terms of trade during high inflation period points towards the presence of structural bottlenecks in India. So this was the paper, and if anyone is interested, interested, I may share the paper in the group. Okay.
Sir, can I ask just a question?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I just wanted to know how have you measured that output gap?
Output gap has been measured by HP filter. It is the trained output by the IIP, trained output Y minus Y star. Y
So
star
is
is
it really available, or have you?
No, it is not available. RBI doesn't publish it. We have created that. We have measured it.
Okay. Sir, is it possible for you to share that paper?
Yeah, I'll share the paper. It's a published paper.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, I think it was very important to set the context, and that's why I requested Professor Indranil to, at least provide us the opportunity to this kind of setting. Thank you very much for that. Over to Charvi.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request our next resource person for today, who's Pratima Dua ma'am. She is a business relationship manager with the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy in the Educational and Research segment. Having expertise in CMIE's financial databases on Indian economy and corporate sector, she is immersed in the expansion of business opportunities for CMIE, demonstrations imparting training to students, researchers, and faculty on CMIE databases in various educational and research institutions across Delhi and NCR, like IIT Delhi, DTU, LBSIM, IMT, Ford School of Management, University of Delhi, etc. Over to you, Pratima.
Thank you, ma'am, for that introduction. I'll not take much of time in other things because we are very short of time. I've been told to wind up on a very quick notice. So since Economic Outlook is a new service for P.G.D.A.V college as well. So I'll give a more introductory overview of the service so that people get a chance to know that what exactly we cover. So I'll start with an introductory presentation of Economic Outlook, and then I'll show the service so that you get an idea how that is being covered. So just sharing my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, as a name suggests, Economic Outlook is a service of CMI. So, it's a flagship service of CMI. It gives you an information and keeps one updated on the macroeconomic environment of our country. It comes up with a copious, reliable data. So, by copious, reliable data, we mean that we provide a more than 3.1 million time series data that is covered under Economic Outlook head that covers macroeconomic indicators of India. We provide you incisive independent analysis. Now, analysis is a USP of Economic Outlook, especially for the students and for the researchers, in the sense because some for the students, as in that they are stepping into the world where might be they choose their future to be as a researcher or an analyst. So they get an idea that how a data is being interpreted. So analysis is written by analysts of CMI, and we keep on posting analysis on quarterly basis, on monthly basis, on weekly basis. So in further slide, you get to know what is the time duration of this analysis. We provide forecasts every quarter on different financial indicators, so it helps one to understand how the economy would be performing in the coming months and quarters. And a person can set customized alerts once they are on Economic Outlook, so that if you are interested in particular section of Economic Outlook, that alerts help you to understand that yes, we have upgraded some kind of data in Economic Outlook, or some updation is there in terms of addition of any economic indicator into the system. So as I said that we cover a copious, reliable amount of data in Economic Outlook. So we cover 3.1 million time series data, which is into broader different categories. That is macroeconomic indicators, sectoral income, business, and socioeconomic. And if you see the pattern, and if you move forward, you will see that it is more than 3.1 million time series data that we provide under Economic Outlook, which is under all these chapters that are there, we cover. So the analysis which I was telling about was the regular analysis and occasional analysis. So these are the two kind of categories that we post in the service in terms of analysis. So we come out with 3 monthly analysis. First is the financial market. How is Indian financial market performing? What is the impact of different economic indicators on the financial market? What are the what is happening in the macroeconomy? So second review is monthly on macroeconomy of India, and third is how different sectors are performing and their contribution towards the GDP of our country. What are the factors that impact these sectors? So these are the fast frequency. Officially, we give these monthly review every month. So the advantage of these analysis is that if somebody is tracing the entire performance of Indian macroeconomy, then these three, understanding these and learning through these analysis would give you a lot of research ideas. So many researchers use these analysis to understand how CMI is interpreting data. So we provide, under the analysis, we provide the links also from where we have captured these data points to come out with that analysis. So this is the added advantage of these analysis. Secondly, we also give you the analysis on the proprietary data. So Prowess IQ is a service which gives you entirely on the company's data. But if you are coming to the macroeconomic platform like Economic Outlook, it is a mixture of proprietary data of CMI and the data that is available through the public source. So we also give you analysis on the fact that we have our own proprietary data that we give you. So we give you employment review, which would be like we post every Monday these analysis on employment, unemployment. Then we have fortnight review on consumer sentiments. Again, this is also alternate Monday. Quarterly investment review, which is being posted on 1st, 3rd of January, April, July, and October. So these are the regular analysis which are planned. Now some are not planned. These are occasional, so scheduled and unscheduled categories there. In schedule, like review of rainfall and sowing, is there central bank budget analysis. So central bank announces budget. So post that, every February we come out with a couple of analysis on the budget that has been announced by the government. Then we also have unscheduled analysis, like what is happening to the growth, inflation, trade, balance of payment, and banking and finance related analysis. So these are the analysis very much useful in our education and academics domain. Like students are reading it a lot for their placements, for specifically researchers are getting a lot of ideas after reading these analyses. Apart from the data that we provide and analysis we provide, we give you forecast also of major financial indicators, 8 quarters and 5 years ahead. So these indicators include the growth in GDP and its components, growth in GV and its components, inflation in CPI, WPI, growth in commercial bank credit and deposit, foreign trade, balance of payments. The list is like in front of you. So these are the forecasts that we provide 8 quarters and 5 years ahead. So the advantage of this forecast is that if you're writing a research paper using these indicators, you can see what would be the performance of using these indicators. So we don't only provide you the current status or the past performance of Indian economy. We provide you the future picture also with the help of forecast. Then the last section is a document, and this would be a kind of goldmine for the researchers, because we have created a digital online library for all the official sources from different government agencies, from where we capture data, so that if somebody wants to see how the raw data looks like and they wanted to see the official source, then you don't have to go to various websites and struggle for the various documents. Everything is being sourced in one library, digital library format under the document section of Economic Outlook. So we have more than 78,000 documents, and these keep on adding. We keep on adding, like whenever the data is added, the document quantity also keep on increasing. So some of the source to mention is mostly RBI and MOF, through which we capture the data. So this was the brief of service. Anyone who wants any clarification in terms of what we cover, that I can clarify, or else I can directly show you the service and platform of Economic Outlook.
Like you mentioned about forecasts, so do you also provide the basis and the model that you use behind these forecasts?
No, sir, that has not been provided. A document can be shared, but not in the service. That is not there. Because it's the internal thing. I need to check whether they share document also or not, because that they can share the basic ideology, but entire documentation cannot be shared, because this is something which is, the internal thing that they are using to, in the analysis also, they keep on writing, mentioning these forecasts. So you can read the analysis and you'll get to know that how, they're using these forecast number in that.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
I was going through this Outlook database yesterday, I think yesterday or day before yesterday. So when I was trying to download a long series in Excel, it was not allowing me to do that. So I had to download the text file and then convert it into Excel. So is there any...
So there are 3 options of downloading data. First is that you download in Excel. So it will not give you the entire timeline data. So for that, we have a data dump download option, through which you can download any kind of economic indicator that you are downloading from the Economic Outlook platform from the beginning of the period.
Yeah, that I found out. I thought that whether there was a problem in my system or not. That is how it is designed. So in Excel, if I download, I will download.
If you are downloading an Excel file, you will not able
limited.
to, you were not able to download into Excel file, or you were not able to download the entire time series?
I could not download the entire time series in Excel.
Okay.
I could download it as a data file, then I converted it into Excel.
Yeah, the reason is because if you are downloading a timeline, it is not feasible for Economic Outlook screen to add on from the, like, if it's a 40-50 years data, if you're seeing it in a quarterly format. So it's a very huge data which cannot be, visible in that screen in one go. That is why we have prepared a data dump file. If somebody is interested for the huge time series, they can download it from there. Otherwise, Excel also gives you information.
Now, what's the format for this dump file?
I'll show you, sir, once we are there.
Okay.
So there is one question: do we have state level data? No, we don't cover state level data in Economic Outlook. It's just the macroeconomic indicator as India. But if you want to see the state level data, we have another service for that. That is States of India, which cover the socio-economic indicators at state and district level. Moving to the Economic Outlook service. So this is the screen of Economic Outlook. Once you are there on the service, the URL is economicoutlook.cmi.com. You can use the same credential that you use for Prowess to log in. So let me log in first. So I'll just give a brief and overview of the service. Post this, we can arrange one more session in the coming months. We can, coordinate with faculties and arrange one with a, more into how you can download data from different sections. But since we are bound with a little time thing, so I'll cover how you can navigate through the service today, more concentrating on that, because first time the college is subscribing it. So the focus is more on navigation part. Coming to this screen of Economic Outlook, this is the structure. On the left side, you will get all the information like we discussed in the presentation, that is analysis, tidings, statistics, forecast, and documents. The upper part is more of support thing that you can see. So moving on to the analysis part first. Analysis, like I discussed, that we cover 3 monthly analysis. So if we click here, you can see three analyses that are being posted every month. For November, we would be adding the other one soon. So first is the financial market performance, macroeconomic performance, and sectoral performance. So I'll just open one to give you an overview for the financial market performance. So the basic agenda of this analysis is specifically the monthly review, that we keep the format same, so that if a person is tracking it over the months, for him or her, it's easy to understand how the economy is growing months on months. So if you see the October analysis, it announces, it starts with the Indian financial market performance, that how the stock market is performing, and then forward it tells what happened to, like, what were the reasons, like whether the foreign investors were the, they are the major reasons why when stock market fluctuates a lot. So whether they were buyers or they were net sellers, what were the reason if they were sellers, what were the reason if they were the buyers. So that entire information is being analyzed over here. And if you move forward, it tells what happened to the rupee, whether it's appreciating, depreciating, what are the reasons. The reason that we have seen that impact of war on India, what could be the reason of that? That kind of analysis are also posted in Economic Outlook. So further it explains the impact of crude financial market due to crude prices. So this entire analysis. So if you go forward and read this, the structure remains the same. So let me show you for another month. This is for October. So if I open the November one, again the analysis structure is same. It tells what happened to the Indian stock market. Then it tells what happened to the foreign investors, the portfolio. Then what happened to the Indian currency, the crude oil and gold prices. So the structure is same just for the user to understand that how the Indian economy is performing month on month. So that kind of analysis, and specifically in academic institution, many of them who are using it from the years, they give students case studies regarding that, analyze how the Indian market has evolved with different questions related to what is being posted in this analysis over the months, for the 3 months, for the 4 months, like that kind of analysis. So if you click on this heading of economic outlook, you are coming back to the home page whenever you click on the economic outlook heading. So these are all analysis that are being posted. But if I'm interested in just seeing what kind of analysis are being posted according to different chapters. So we cover different chapters on macroeconomy, sectoral, business, and socio-economy. So these are the 4 broader categories on which we post analysis and we post data on. So if I am just interested in, understanding that what are the kind of analysis posted in economic outlook on inflation. So if I click on inflation, all the analysis wherever inflation is covered, they would be, shown in this section. So rupee to depreciate in Q3, inflation to be fallen below 5% in October. All war impact on the Indian financial market. So if nobody is interested, they find economic indicators very technical, or they find economics as a little difficult subject for students also. If they read this analysis, there's a very, informative way to understand what is happening in economy right now, and they would be very updated also, so that they get to know a lot in terms of if they read these analysis on a regular basis. So if I go back, these are the analysis, you can explore it. Every analysis start with, if I open this, every analysis start with a chart representation, and then we further explain with tabulations also. If you move down to the bottom, these are the links. So the links that I was mentioning, that if you wanted to know that how these data is being analyzed, what are the indicators that have been taken to come out with these kind of analysis. So if you click on these links, it will take to you to the data window from which we have captured this data. So again, for the researchers, they can understand that, from where we are capturing this. So a lot of research ideas can be explored with the help of this section of analysis. Once this analysis is done, we can move to the tidings. Tidings is basically all the news articles from all different sources of business newspaper, Economic Times, Mint, Business Standard. We have accumulated all articles from these chapters. Like if you want to see the news articles related to the agriculture section, if I click here, all the articles wherein agriculture section is captured are being posted here. If you click on this, a brief summary would be given of that, and a URL for that particular newspaper from where we have captured this news is there. So if you click there on this link, it will directly navigate you towards that news link or the news article that you are interested to read. So again, it saves lots of time for the people who are doing research. They wanted to, refer back to some of the news articles also. So they can directly go to that section, click on the link, and we have repository of all the news articles from 2012 onwards. So a huge repository is maintained in the backend. How you can get back? So if you are back, going back on this main page of tidings, and if you go to the bottom, so here are 100 pages for that. You can just move forward and check up to 100 that from 2012 onwards. If I move to the last page. So from 2012 onwards, we maintain that repository. So for the researchers, it's very useful. And similarly in analysis, we have the analysis from 2012 onwards. So you can trace it from the past as well. So benefit of this is that we have customized it on the basis that you can explore whatever section you want. Moving to the third section, that is statistics. This is where data is being stored. This is where you can download data from. So we cover these different chapters in statistics section. If you wanted to understand the performance of Indian economy as a whole, you can mention and go to summary indicators. It's a brief of entire macroeconomic indicators. So if I open this, so it give you values on annual, quarterly, and monthly basis of frequencies. If I go with the absolute value, summary report is little heavy, so it will take a few seconds to download. Once it is downloaded, this is the performance over the years. The screen looks like this. So it always tell you the source from where we capture this data. So all the sources from where we have, captured the data from, the documents that were considered to, accumulate this data at one place. Everything is being clearly mentioned in the source section for the ease of you to refer back to the documents as well. Then how you can download this data? You can download this data in Excel format from here. You can download in a data dump that I was referring in, in the first go. Since you can see this data is showing you that till in this pictorial format showing you from 2019 onwards, and it states that this entire data is from 2000 onwards till 23-24. But this would not be the case. If you download the Excel, it will show you data from 2000 onwards till 2023. But if you download
Seema, we are missing your voice. Hello, but the others are able to hear.
Loading, going back, I'll show 2-3 macro indicators to give you an idea what kind of information we have. So if I click on national accounts, we cover information, what is the contribution of different, sector in economic activities, or say GDP of our country. So if I move here and show you the GDP by expenditure and demand, year on year, what is the contribution of different sectors, manufacturing and all, net export. Just a second. So by economic activity, if I go on year, yeah, so we have agriculture sector, industry, and service sector. Now, if I wanted to see the overview, like in pictorial format, I wanted to know how this can be represented. So you simply have to right click on the numbers, plot a chart. So this is the, contribution of agriculture sector towards the GDP of our country. Then we have industry. Again, you have to minimize it from here and plot a chart. Minimize again. And then we plot for services. And just clicking on the numbers and then right click, you'll get a chart format. So this is the representation of 3 different sector contribution towards the GDP, towards the growth of our country over the years. Now, if I wanted to plot a trend lines on this, like exponential trend line, click on this, click on draw, lines would be created. Just a second. And we'll get R2 value as well. Apart from that, the advantage of this is that you get an option of outlier tool as well. So it helps you to understand if the economy has gone under, different economical shocks. Like we went through demonetization. We went through introduction of say GST. COVID hit the country. So all these were the economic shocks that our country has witnessed. So if we want to see if that these events were not there, what would be the performance of different sectors, or any information you wanted to see in terms that if this particular event would not have happened, what would be the scenario? So you can use this outlier tool, and so this was the year of COVID. If we remove this, click on OK. So this would be the performance of and contribution of different sectors towards the growth of our country, which we could see that industry was in negative and service sector was also touching almost negative. Only the agriculture was showing us the positive trend in COVID. So if COVID have hit the country, this would be the scenario. So that kind of analysis can be done using the outlier tool. If somebody wants to download this, you can use this camera button, and this like the PNG file would be downloadable for the data that we have choose. If we minimize, we are back on the main page. I've already shown you that how you can download this data. You can mark, supposedly if I'm interested in monitoring the growth performance only from year to year. What we can do is we can mark this as favorite, and if you want to set email alerts for this file, you can set email alerts by clicking on this checkbox, and whenever there is updation in this data, you will be notified over your emails that data is being added. Moving on to the next section, I'll show 2-3 data points to you. So if somebody is interested that how much the country is spending in terms of what are the payment indicators of India, how much people are spending through UPI, through debit cards, through credit cards, that kind of information you want. You can see it from banking section and payment infrastructure of our country, and then go to payments system.
Ma'am, can I just ask a query?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, actually, I was trying to download that the summary indicators of the macroeconomics you shown on very beginning, and it is still not downloading, still in the process. So I was thinking, is it? I mean, it's
because ma'am, summary indicator is the entire information, and it's a
heavy take a lot of time.
Yeah, it will take a lot of time.
Okay, ma'am, all these data are available freely, right? We can download the data, whatever the indicators we need.
No, ma'am. A college is subscribing it and they are paying it for that. So if you are part of college, you have access for that for the time being the college is subscribing.
Okay. So, but right now I was trying to access, so I was able to access.
Yeah, because we have provided you that access.
And that is available till?
You are part of P.G.D.A.V college?
No, ma'am. I have joined as a participant.
Okay, then ma'am, I don't know what the college would be taking,
Okay.
Because we would not be
for few days,
Yeah,
we'll keep it on.
Okay, thank you, sir.
But we will not be able to allow beyond few days.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that is not feasible for our company also to provide.
Yeah, so that's why I was wondering, is it available freely? So
no, like they have decided for 2-3 days, so we'll go with that. Beyond that, we would be taking off the rights of remote access of the people who are not part of P.G.D.A.V.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, college level, yes, understand. Is it how what is the process for the individual level? It must be very expensive.
But if you are in Delhi, and you come to our institution and sit in our lab, we'll allow you. Because that's what the company also permits.
Okay, sir, but I'm in Mumbai. Is it possible?
You can assist your college from Mumbai team, you can contact.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
We have separate Mumbai team. You can contact with them.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
So coming back to this section, so this is the payment infrastructure of the country. You'll get information how much people are spending through credit cards, through debit cards, through UPI, and different like UPI QR, Bharat QR code and all. Again, the information is the way of downloading data is same over here. Source is kept here, that we take this information from RBI. And further, you can also get a lot of details related to, if I move to the agriculture sector, because many of the researchers, do research on agriculture sector. So wherever you see this scholar cap, that means that there is a data guide. Like in Prowess, you see that there is a data dictionary. Similarly, we have data guide to help you understand that how we have calculated what is, the way the particular thing is being measured and taken into consideration while adding it to the economic outlook interface. So entire documentation is there for the help of researchers. So you can go through if you're using these indicators. So agriculture covers almost every aspect in like economic outlook. We cover all aspect of agriculture. We give you a progress of sowing, progress of rainfall, and in different season, what are the cultivation in terms of different crops in different seasons. So everything is covered in detail. Further, we also capture, the data of animal husbandry as well. So there were some people, like from one of the university, one faculty was interested in this data, and she was struggling. So she find it very useful for the animal husbandry data. Moreover, if you go to the infrastructure section, this is give you information of how the Indian infrastructure is. So if somebody is predicting that how the future of Indian economy would be in terms of seeing the infrastructure and the growth initiative taken by the government. So you can understand by understanding that what is railways doing, what is roadways doing. So if I click on this section, it tells you that how much performance, what is the performance of railways in terms of how many people. Just a second. Hold on. Yeah, sorry for that. Coming back to this screen of railways. So if you wanted to understand that how the, how much passengers are coming on board for traveling. So this again helps to understand the tourism in the country. Though we have tourism section in separately in economic outlook, but again it helps to understand how many people, diversity of tourism in terms of railways, that can be understand. Further, it also gives you information on roadways. Roadways will help you to give you data on different aspect that we cover from Vahan. So to understand, again, with this understanding how many people, taking the e-vehicles, that can be seen through the Vahan data. So it's a Vahan proprietary data that they release. Since we have tie-up with them, you'll get to know that in this section, that by fuel categories like petrol, diesel, CNG, electric, what is the motor vehicle registered within Vahan over the years. So this is transport vehicle and non-transport vehicle that been registered category wise, electric vehicles in India. Further, you can also see in industry, if you wanted to see the performance of different industries, and this would be very useful for the people who are continuously monitoring different industry. We also cover the IHS market proprietary data of PMI over here. If somebody is interested in knowing what kind of details IHS is providing. We also give the performance of selective industry, which has major contribution in Indian economic growth performance, like sugar, tea, fertilizer, iron, steel. Again, these are all proxy indicators to understand the economic performance of our country. So you can see commercial vehicle sales, their production. So every category of these selected industry, you will see the sales, consumption pattern, domestic sales, and export for some if they are into exports. Moving forward, corporate sector data would be very useful for the finance people as well. So if you have seen in Prowess, company-wise company, you will get financial data. But if you're interested in exploring the overview of entire industry as whole, what is the sales, what is the ratios, so you can get this in corporate sector. So if I go industry-wise industry, for say non-financial sector, so these are all financial indicators. Now the source is Prowess for us. So Prowess team has collaborated with Economic Outlook team to come out with this result. So, this will help you to understand further that, say, for example, you wanted to see what would be the total income for all non-financial industries like tea, sugar industry, textile industry. So if I click on year change, so yeah, so for manufacturing, it gives you major heading and the sub parts also. If you're not interested in seeing the sub parts, you can click on this leaf segment. Yeah, so if I click on this leaf, all the parent headings, so like manufacturing, vanished off, and you can see sector-wise sector, like the sub categories of the industry and their performance. So leaf help you to cut down the major heading, and as the sector, it will give you information. So I've removed that leaf filter. Now you can see the total income of tea as whole. And if you want to make a comparison with the coffee industry, again, you can plot a chart. What is the total income of tea versus what is the total income of coffee? So any financial indicator you can pick and make a comparison over different industries. So with a click of button, this helps you to, compare within different industry on different financial aspects. So you get sales, total income, total expenses, profit, and we cover the ratios as well. The structure is same that you get in Prowess. So it's not that detailed one because Prowess is meant for that. But if you want to see the overview on different financial indicators, you can get that in this platform.
Ma'am, I have actually 2 queries. Can I ask now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please ask. And also I am requesting Pratima that we would like to bring it to a close for 2 reasons. One is there is another schedule after now few minutes on Zoom. Secondly, it is already extended and number is declining.
No issue, sir. I have given the overview.
No, you have not taken longer because the economic outlook as such is very big. But there is a time constraint that we are facing.
I can understand. Yes, ma'am, you can ask your
Ma'am, actually, I have 2 questions. One is, let's say Government of India has introduced a scheme called Jan Suraksha scheme for the people working in unorganized sector. Let's say I want to do a research. I want to understand like how many people have already enrolled for this. So is it possible I can get this data maybe through bank? I think a bank only can have this data. That what are the number of people they have enrolled for this particular scheme, and also their level of income. Is it possible, ma'am?
We do cover a lot of schemes, that how much the government is spending and how many people were taken benefit of that
particular schemes. Yes.
Yeah, so you can explore this in this section, but which scheme are being covered, because the schemes keep on adding. So I need to check the scheme that you are mentioning is there or not. So you can see this section, progress of central government schemes. Under that, you can check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, yeah, second, I was just wondering, is it also possible to, let's say, if I pick any product and I want to analyze the change in different phases of that since this product was was brought in, and the change in quantity demanded over the period of time. So it means the sales of that particular product. So the change in prices and the quantity demanded, is this kind of data will be available for, yeah, anywhere, maybe in economic outlook or in Prowess?
Can you just repeat your question? I didn't get it.
Let's say I want to find, pick any product like cosmetic product, and I want to analyze, the effect on demand due to the changes in the prices. Maybe over a period of time, they have increased the prices of their product.
That is not available, but we have consumer sentiments database which analyze the household's performance. So it gives you information that how consumer sentiments can help you understand a bit, but not on the categories of product. That can be, some extent of that could be seen in our another service, that is CPA, just because it is on understanding consumer households of our country on different aspects. But as such, the same way you will not get it.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, just last question one is that, like, let's say if I want to ask some query, I want to understand how to, get the data or what, any process. Is there any one point contact I can call, or maybe I can email and I can get reply?
Your college anyhow is subscribing any of the service of CMI?
And that I'll have to first check. So
okay, because I'm asking this because if somebody, from which college you are?
I am in Narsi Munji College of Commerce and Economics.
Narsi Munji is our user. They are subscribing to many of our service. So you can check in with the library team over there. Any resource person. So every college has a resource person who is, helping any user who is stuck up somewhere. So that resource person could help you in that, or else seek clarification is the best platform to clarify your doubts.
Okay. So if the college is subscribing, then I can get access.
Yeah, Narsi Munji is a old subscriber of CMI.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So just covering the last section, that is documents, because this might be very useful. Forecast is very similar to statistics in terms of exploring, just that you will get data for 5 years and 8 quarters ahead. Document section will give you information on all the documents. For example, if I wanted to see the external sector, and for external sector, I want any information, says this report from Ministry of Finance. So you click over here. From the time being the ministry has started disclosing it, you will get the repository from there. So from 1995, these documents are here. For the years, they were disclosing it. So a very neat representation, you don't have to struggle in that aspect. So this was the, like, a short, crisp overview of the service. You can explore this and, go to seek clarification for the support. We are there with you. Like if P.G.D.A.V people are facing any problem, you can reach out to me as well. Or else, since I'm the resource person for P.G.D.A.V, or else you can post your queries and seek clarification and clarify your doubts with our team. From this is like a brief intro from my side. If anyone has any query, they can ask me up, because there was too much to show, but yeah, we don't have that much time.
It's a wonderful database, ma'am. I was just surprised why I was not using this earlier. So it's wonderful.
Definitely, you can explore, like with your library, you can see. I don't know which all resources Narsi Munji is taking, but yes, I do know that they are at least taking EO and Prowess.
Especially that news section, I really liked it because you have all the collection of news in different subjects. Yeah, so that's it's nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Any other participant, any query?
Yeah, Pratima, I think you've done a wonderful job. And maybe before a formal vote of thanks is extended, I would like to request to all those who stayed on. I want to first congratulate them, and I also want to request them, if they put their videos on, that will also come on record as to who in all were present. Secondly, this is not the last session. This is the first session after these services, Prowess IQ and Economic Outlook is activated for this year. And therefore, we'll have many more sessions on this, and you hold your breath, take long breath, build up your stamina, and I'm sure CMIE would be happy and P.G.D.A.V would be happier because we are trying to build up a research community. If there are questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, I'll request Deepika to extend a formal vote of thanks.
I don't think there are any questions. Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I feel honored and privileged to get this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion to all those who have made this workshop successful by their gracious presence and support. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude towards our resource persons, Mr. Sudarshan Negi and Ms. Pratima Dua from CMIE for a comprehensive explanation regarding usage of their databases and for enthusiastically addressing and clarifying all doubts. Thank you, Indranil sir, for discussing your informative research article on monetary policy targeting and for setting the stage for introduction of the economic database, Economic Outlook. Now, I, on the behalf of workshop organizing committee, would like to convey our deep regards and hearty thanks to our principal, Ma'am Professor Krishna Sharma, for supporting us in all possible manner to organize this workshop. I would also like to thank our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Rakesh Kumar, for various help we received towards conference preparation. I feel words are not enough to thank this workshop's convener and our colleague's bursar, Professor Surendra Kumar sir, for his constant guidance, motivation, and support that constantly radiated a source of energy within us. Sir, thank you so much for providing the very idea of having this enriching workshop and for motivating this workshop by introducing us to the significance of data. At the end, I would also like to convey my heartfelt thanks to our team of motivated and dedicated workshop committee members, Dr. Shikha Menani, Dr. Indranil Chaudhary, Ms. Nisha, and Ms. Charvi, for their active involvement and contribution in organizing and managing this workshop. I feel proud and thank you for making this workshop a successful one. I'm also very much thankful to all our participants for their precious time and wholehearted participation. I'm sure all of you have greatly benefited from today's session. Thank you all for participating in this workshop. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deep.